Good evening everyone, welcome to FGM eCast presents the Aus Pro-Am Sim Series on behalf of HJ Plant Repairs. We're jumping into qualifying at the moment. I am joined as usual by my partner in crime, good old Scotty Rankin. Good evening, Scotty.
I nearly said good morning then for a second. I don't know why. I'm so out of it. Just started a new job, ladies and gentlemen, so I have to get up early again.
Well, it does tend to be challenging to have to get up for work, but no, congratulations on getting that new job. It was a little while in the works for you, but patience also always a virtue that pays in the end as you start your life learning to do programming. So congratulations on that one.
Data management, it's interesting. We'll say that much. That's about all I can actually say about the job. So, anyway, the benefit of being a guy who works in numbers, I get the benefit to come here of an evening and take a look at lap times, and I tell you what, someone I didn't expect to be seeing at the top of the charts, Bergens. I mean, I expected to see him up there, but I don't think I expected to see him at the tippy top.
No, well, and we were questioning last week what was going to happen here in terms of Bathurst and car setups and the like. Obviously being a fixed series, but requiring the setups for a little bit of parity to McLaren. Not necessarily the favoured car for this. We would expect to see the BMWs probably be strong here along with Mercedes as usual. But Bergen's doing a ripping job at the moment. Let's quickly jump into the race info for this evening's run. As we said, we're at a track that needs absolutely no introduction, and if it does, the Fall Guys stream is on another channel. Bathurst Mount Panorama. Of course, we are actually heading here in 2 weeks' time for the real 1000 event, but tonight looking at an hour 45 race, so we'll get roughly 50 laps in, I think, there or thereabouts.
Somewhere in that realm, yeah?
Yeah, there or thereabouts. 20 degrees, track temperature with this one. Sim time, it's going to be a warm one, I think. We'll probably see reasonably high track temperatures, somewhere in the mid-30s for a majority of the race.
The driver's going to be up against it. The reason why we do tend to see a lot of those BMWs is on the baseline setup, they are actually a fair bit more stable than the alternatives. So look, it's been a question of parity throughout the season. They've made some balance of power adjustments, you know, etc. But still, when you compare the Mercedes, she requires a fair bit of fine tuning and whatnot. The Audi's a little bit twitchy on the baseline setup. So you know, that's just part and parcel of driving those cars sometimes, and unfortunately, you know, you pick a car, you get a certain advantage. In the case of, as we're already talking, of Luke Bergens, the McLaren does get a huge benefit here. I believe it's one of the fastest cars in a straight line in the class, and that is what has it sitting so far up here. When you've got to get down such an extended straight like Conrod, the McLaren really starts to come into its own, and it's not just an iRacing as well. The McLaren within the GT3 class, going back to my Project Cars 1 days, showing my age there, was actually the fastest car around Bathurst as well. So it's yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a tough task for anyone to be beating Bergens tonight, I think. And with the pace that he's picked up in the recent past, yeah, he's certainly been putting a case forward, Stuart, to be the one of the higher achievers at the back end of this season. So
yeah, absolutely. So looking forward, as you know, to seeing how Luke gets on. At the moment, we do have him on a 2-minute 4 flat, which is a cracking lap. Rick Kuznetsov currently sitting just 2/10 behind him in second. Glenn Boyd in third. Trent Lavis in fourth. Jack Boyd at this stage not having completed a lap without incident point. So, albeit in fairness, he has only completed 1 lap. So this lap will be his, 2 laps. So hopefully this lap will be the one that he puts in the bank. We were mentioning earlier, just before we actually jumped on air, that we've actually got a championship within a championship here. So I'm going to just quickly bring up the points for that one. So we're actually running the Enduro Cup. And no surprises, Jack Boyd, series champion, currently at the top of the tables there, having won Barcelona, Spa and Sebring sorry, having won Sebring and finished in second place at Barcelona and Spa. So he's currently leading this championship. Trent Lavis just behind him, Brady Myers in third. So still a little bit of work to do here for him tonight. He has to have a really bad night not to take this one out, of course, having secured the Drivers' Championship last week at Sebring. So that one still has some running to do. We do also have the points to play out in the main championship as well, and bringing that one to a close. At the moment, it looks like Lavis and Myers Lavis is secure in second place, but Brady Myers and Rick Kuznetsov still fighting it out for third place in the championship, along with Daniel Webster, albeit again he would have to have an absolute ripper of an evening, probably take home the win, with a couple of those other drivers having very unfortunate nights. But it is mathematically possible, and where it's mathematically possible, then certainly things can happen.
Yeah, look, again, it's going to take miracles. So I just watched actually the number 2 time just show up on Bergens' front monitor. So that means he's fallen down a little bit. Trenton Lavis manages to stick his BMW up on a pole position in the dying moments of this session. So, well, I say dying moments, I mean, you know, halfway point.
Yeah, we've still got a few
My
minutes.
ability to read time, clearly suffering at the moment.
Still got 1 or 2 minutes to go, you could say, but you are right. So we're halfway through this session here. Obviously, the other award, before we get too far ahead, that we always like to look into is the Hard Charger Award, which we've just jumped up on screen with here. Stephen Bartholomew, who is running tonight, I believe. I'd be reasonably confident. Yeah, there he is there at the moment at the bottom of the field. He is currently leading that one 92 to 76 ahead of Matty Gray. So given that we've only got 16 other cars in the field tonight other than Steve Bartholomew, it's fair to say that that battle is basically over. It would need to be a last to first effort from Matty Gray to get that one done, and in fact Matty Gray is not even running. So the Peninsula Transfers Hard Charger Award will be taken out by Stephen Bartholomew at the end of this evening's proceedings.
Yeah. I kind of don't get me wrong. I get excited about championships that go down to the final sort of race. But I also like it when you get a moment for the drivers. Like, yeah, look, it's been a long season. There's been a lot happen. There's been a lot of discussions back and forth about what to do, about the situation regarding balance of power, etc., etc., etc. This is a really good opportunity for everyone to shake all of that off and spend, you know, nigh on 2 hours running around Bathurst, plus any countless hours they would have done in preparation for this in the lead up. And at the end of the day, I'd rather just see them all sit down, shake it off. You know, at the end of things, let's get over some of the gripes that we may have had throughout the season. Let's shake it all off. Let's enjoy ourselves. Let's witness some high quality sim racing to round out the season, and then we'll go again next season with the announcement. I believe it was it earlier today that we'll be moving to the GT1 cars, Stuart, which are something you don't see a lot of on iRacing.
No, absolutely not. It will be a first for us in terms of a stream having those GT1s running around. But as you say, the series organisers put up a poll and said, what are we running next season? I believe Real Milk was one of the options as well. That was my favourite, but didn't take home the biscuits. But yeah, GT1 season next season, that's going to come on board in a couple of weeks. We're having a 2-week break from the series, and then we'll be back. I believe it's 2 weeks, 2-week break or so, and then we'll be back with season 2 of the Aus Pro-Am Sim Series, which will conclude just before December. So it's a slightly shortened series, but yeah, we will get that done before the year is out, and everyone starts to hopefully see more of their family and friends as things start to unravel here in Victoria, but certainly across Australia as well.
Yeah, and again, the same thing. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to reset, to sort of sit back and take a little bit of a break. Given there's been tensions flare within their series, Race Control has had to do a lot more than Race Control I think really wanted to do throughout the series. Jack, don't get it wrong. Don't get me wrong though. Jack Boyd has driven. There's no way in the world that you can say that Jack Boyd is not a deserving winner. He has driven the cleanest, the most consistent, and the fastest right throughout the season. It wasn't one round he was quick at. It was all of them. I don't think we've seen a Jack Boyd off the podium at any stage during the season. So in terms of inaugural winner of Aus Pro-Am Sim Series, you know, definitely deserved. Are we excited for season number 2? Absolutely. Is the generic, what's the term I'm searching for? The overarching sort of feeling within the bunch of our drivers, and onwards and upwards. You start from here. You start with a season that capped out its drivers. That says a lot for the potential that's there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we've been lucky with the way this series has developed, and will continue to develop. I like the fact that they are changing the way in which the series is run, in terms of you know, generally when you see these pole type events happen within series, they can go one way or the other. They lead to catastrophic destruction and disagreement, or in the case like this, you just end up with a clear majority and a new direction for the series to go in. So it's good to see that be the outcome to their inquiry, and I can't wait to see what happens next season. Whether or not Jack Boyd can transfer his pace from the GT3s into the GT1s, because the GT1's having a little, you know, more power and being a little more cumbersome to handle. I'm looking forward to seeing the track selection when that does get released to us at some stage prior to the season starting, and really seeing how this series continues to develop over season 2.
And I think some of the most underrated cars on iRacing as well, the Aston Martin, is it DB12?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
It's another 4GT, so drivers are all going to be driving collectively what is known in the community as long boys.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, absolutely they are. They're much bigger, beastier looking things. So the Corvette's an interesting car to drive.
That's it. Corvette, sorry, not the Ford.
That's all right. I knew what you meant. I've spent a fair bit of time in that car, and it's an interesting one. Its newer version that was released recently in the GTE category is a much better version of itself. But you know, it is what it is, and the guys, I'm sure, will get on and get through it. So we've got 3 minutes to go in qualifying now. So I'll give you a quick rundown. Jack Boyd, of course, as you would expect, is now on top of the list at 2:03.54. He is nearly 2/10 quicker than Trent Lavis, who we're on board with now. Luke Bergen's currently in third and circulating as well. So this will be, he'll get through 2 more if he wants to make a challenge for, actually no, he's only going to get 1 more lap in. Glenn Boyd currently in 4th with a 2:04.15, and Rick Kuznetsov in 5th with a 2:04.26. So usual suspects up the top. Good to see Dennis Gatarik back and up in a 2:04.59. He's currently running in 6th place. So Bergen's now doing, he did do a purple sector in the second sector there, so a good run from him.
To mention as well, I think Matty and Dennis, who are normally our race control guys, have obviously taken, I think, a step back tonight, and I think they're all running. You know, if anyone's got issues, well, they need to be resolved before tonight. So it'd be really good to see. I know Matty's had been under a lot of stress in terms of race control, so it's good to see him back in the car and having a go again. It's you know, it shouldn't be limiting. It shouldn't be a limiting factor. Race control, to all the guys out there, if you are thinking about getting involved in something like race control, it's difficult. I'm not gonna, no word of a lie. It's not easy. We sit here, we make comments on it, we discuss, you know, what potentially could be going on within the steward's office, and we don't reach an official decision. We don't reach an official decision for a very good reason. It's a tough job, and they've got a rule book, and they know the rule book better than we do, because they lay it out. So If you are interested in doing that sort of thing, I can guarantee you that there is no series on the planet that is not looking for more race controllers and series admins. It's hard, it's difficult, people are gonna hate you, but I think it's one of the more rewarding jobs, because at the end of the day, when somebody says the racing was clean, it was fair, and we had a really, really good night, that's all down to you. And well, I tell you what, Luke Bergens, he's been in the wars the last couple of weeks, but he's on his way towards what is potentially the last flying lap of our top 5.
And he is purple, purple, purple at the moment, which means he is the fastest car in those sectors. So I can tell you now, there's 2/100ths of a second between himself and Jack Boyd for pole position. And at this stage, as long as he gets it done down through the final corner, he will take out pole position. So let's see what lap he can produce as he just flashes off the screen there.
He's been having a couple little blinking issues throughout the qualifying. I've just been keeping my eyes on him.
And it looks like it's dropped out and he has not completed that lap. Wow, that is disappointing for
No,
Bergen.
he is. He's gotten through. I don't know what's going on with the data there. That's interesting.
Okay, well, we'll see when it resets. It was just flashing on and off there. I couldn't quite keep hold of him on the screen. We've got Ian McMahon apparently still out on track as well. Let's see if that's accurate. Yes, it is. So he should get this lap finished because there's around about 2 minutes extension to Bathurst qualifying because of the length of the track. So McMahon, you can see on the track map there, is coming up and entering past the grate. And he can get up through Skyline and get his way back down the mountain. So we'll keep an eye on his times at the moment being green sectors for him. So his fastest sectors in this qualifying session. He's just run a little bit deep there into the dipper, but that may not affect his lap too much. Doesn't look like it's affected his pace. He's got to get the car stopped and turned in here and on the gas early. He's got a big slide and that's going to affect and end that lap for McMahon. Daniel Webster, the other one out as he comes down, and good to see that Ian's slide not affecting him as he gets the job done through Forest Elbow and this long sprint down to the chase. So again, he's actually pulled out of the lap, which is interesting because he was up on sectors 2 and 3. So that was it. That will conclude our qualifying for this evening. And we believe it's Jack Boyd, who also I just need to mention for, I'm not sure if you've got it on your screen there as well, but nearly 7,000 iRating, Jack Boyd. And to put that into context for people, Max Verstappen, who also races in iRacing, his iRating, I believe, is around about 8,000. I may be wrong, but it's reasonably close to that level. So that just means that he is extraordinarily competitive, shall we say?
I think you're understating it. To be perfectly honest with you, it puts him in probably the top 3 to 4% at most of drivers. It is a very, very elite class. So,
well,
I have a feeling
I thought
that he's been trending upwards.
I thought I understated it and overstated it, or brought it into context by the comparison of the driver that I made, but maybe not.
Sure, Verstappen's. Well, the thing I'm going to point out with that is that a lot of it's with ELO systems and whatnot. A lot of it's actually about the number of races and official races that you're doing.
Yeah.
So, if there's not enough official stuff going on, or you're not involving yourself or engaging yourself in that official, you can be. We've seen it before. Jeff Connell springs to mind.
Yes.
From NZSR, whereby he's a driver rated 1300 or something, but he's racing hard against Jack Boyd. You know, drivers like that. One of the actually no, it was in this series. Actually, wasn't NZSR. It was Aus Pro-Am Sim Series, and believe he took one result away from Jack himself, and he's only 1200. So it comes down to the number of your races you are doing.
Number of officials,
yeah. Put it in context as well. Jack Boyd 6988 is the iRating that's showing on our screen. It should be live. Luke Bergens 4478, and Bergens has been right around the same sort of margin. but not quite as consistent. That has been the major difference for me between Boyd and Bergens this season.
So, and of course, there were those couple of races that he sat out as well. But let's get into the grid, and we were unfortunately right, that lap not counting for Bergens. So it is Jack Boyd taking out the final pole position of the series, that one brought to us by H&O. So he will take home another $20 for his efforts to get to the front. Luke Bergens, Tom and Motorsport in second place. We've got Trent Laves for skid control third. Glenn Boyd in fourth. A great job from him. Probably the most improved driver, as we spoke about last week. Ian McMahon in fifth. Rick Kuznetsov in sixth. He still is competing for third place with Laves. So keep an eye on that as we get through the racing tonight. Dennis Guittari, great result from him, up in seventh in the Audi with Glenn Firth in eighth. Hayden Jackson in ninth. And Matty Corleone, welcome back to actually driving in the series, in 10th. Daniel Webster in 11th. He's got a little bit of work to do if he wants to try and challenge for that top 5 in the finishing orders, as well as Sam Lehman out of 12th position, or row 6 on the grid. Move back there, Brady Buchanan in 13th. We've got Steve Bartholomew in the Redback Race Team GT in 14th. Sam Thurtell in 15th. Dwayne Voss in 16th. And Rodney Hobbs rounding out the 17 cars we have on track, and he is the sole Ferrari for the evening. We've got one Ferrari, one Ford, one Audi, one McLaren, and the rest are made up of Mercedes and BMWs for your run at Bathurst this evening.
Yeah, and a little bit of an announcement that's only actually happened in the last sort of 2 hours. I'm actually now a member of the Redback Race Team as well, so I am going to be singing Stephen Bartholomew's praises.
We do not allow any bias on this channel. I believe that was in the briefing at the start before you joined us, so let's just keep that in check, shall we?
Yes, boss. Yeah, anything you say, Stuart. How's the VMM boys going at the moment? How'd you run last weekend at Little Le Mans?
Yeah, we did run at Little Le Mans, and it was a very, very mixed weekend. We had Reese Ashmore and Jaden Sweeney take out a race win, and everyone else got taken out by just about every other car on the track. That is a crazy place to run with that many LMP2s. As we're about to get underway here, as Jack Boyd, Luke Bergens going to take us away down into turn 1. And it is off and running. Bergens missed the start a little bit there, and we've got some moving and some jostling happening in the middle there with Laves trying to establish some track position. But it is Jack Boyd who is going to lead them up Mountain Straight for the first time. As we get through Hill Corner, there's an Audi spearing off on the inside there. That's Dennis Guittari, who's gone off and paid the wall. A very heavy visit as we get into an hour 45 around here at Bathurst. The drivers definitely need to bear in mind that it is a long, long race, and it certainly will not be won on corner 1. Albeit after our race at Sebring last week, you might be confused as to whether or not that is actually the case.
Everett crawling all over that McLaren of Bergens just then. I think there was a few touches, there was some door rubbing with Laves in the very early phases of this one. They'll settle it down as they come across the top of the mountain for the first of many, many laps this evening. And Laves has been shuffled right down through the order. Drivers making margins up. So Laves is up one, Kuznetsov. Now this is the battle for third place in the championship. Laves versus Kuznetsov. Well, they're 2 and 3 out on the track at this point in time. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a no-holds-barred 2 hours, well, an hour and 45 minutes of grudge match between those guys to get underway. Bergen should be able to hopefully make up a little bit of time coming down Conrod Straight as we come down the hill, get to the bottom, turn, point, and shoot for the first time tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. As you point out, the McLaren are very, very good in a straight line, and so should the GT of Stephen Bartholomew be as well. So check on the relative pace speeds. Well done, Stuart. We'll check on the relative speeds of those two down the main. I'm really struggling for some reason down Conrod Straight.
Something to do with the weather. You're about the fourth or fifth person I've interacted with today that's struggling to get English.
I don't know what's going on. It's like English is my second language. Anyway, from the front row, we've ended up with Bergens down in 4th, as it is Jack Boyd who takes us across the start-finish line there. Thank you to my darling wife Kelly for liking the stream. Obviously, I like struggling with English at the moment, but I'm going to get back into it now, as it is Bergens heading back up Mountain Straight for the second time. Jack Boyd in front of him. Solid gap at the front already, half a second. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it certainly is. Lavis there trying to close that down on him as quickly as he can. As we've got notification there that Brady Buchanan has had an incident as well. He has ejected and is into pit lane on the back of a tow truck.
How long the tow is actually going to be on that one as well, so in my mind it's going to be a fair margin.
I think really it's almost only the Nürburgring that's more damaging than a tow from the top of the mountain. At Bathurst, it's 3 or 4 minutes. It's not friendly at all.
Jump back and have a look at where that happened quickly. Oh, he's coming to Forest Elbow, but he was already just biffed, bashed, and banged up to. Okay, he rolled it. Yeah, so there was no option for him. He was struggling to try and get the car back to pit lane, limping it home with a little bit of damage, and unfortunately the thing was crab walking all over the wall, and Charlie the Unicorn does not look as pretty upside down.
No, and as crew chief often tells you, the cars are always faster when they're on 4 wheels. So Ian McMahon's just had a big incident as well. So we've had Bergens, McMahon and Hayden Jackson all involved in an incident. Let's just pop back quickly and have a look at that. So McMahon's back in the pits. And you know what, it looks like Bergens with his internet connection issues may have caused the incident. Yeah, there it is there. So just potentially dropping back onto the track. And Hayden Jackson there as well, an unfortunate bystander in that one.
Oh!
Not an ideal re-entry, that one, and I dare say that may be revisited, but he's clearly struggling with internet issues this evening as well. Bergen's not helping his cause, that almost being the cause of the reason why he had that incident in the first place.
Which is interesting, because he hasn't been one of the ones that's been an issue right throughout the season or anything of that matter whatsoever. Yeah.
He's dropping he's actually just in front of this battle here, and so Glenn Boyd, Sam Lehman, Daniel Webster and Steve Bartholomew all in a battle, and Bergens has appeared behind them. He's dropping down but jumping back up the field. So we'll just ignore Bergens for the minute because there's not a lot we can do while he's bouncing around over the screen to actually commentate on where he is on the field. But what we can tell you is that Boyd, Lehman and Bartholomew are battling it out for 7th, 8th and 9th. Matty Cardelloni with a great start, not showing any signs of rustiness coming back into the rig. He's up 5 spots into 5th place.
Yep, he's doing a really good job. Just head down, turn some consistent laps. I'm gonna really applaud McMahon. McMahon's made a solid decision there. It's a hefty time penalty to suffer, to tow it all the way back from Forest Elbow, but with the entire field on their way down towards there, McMahon being up towards not necessarily the tippy top pointy end of it, but definitely in the front half of the field, he's made a wise decision there, and I think Bergens has got a little bit to potentially learn from his compatriot there. So good job to McMahon. Unfortunately, Mike Bergens might have a quick trip to the steward's office when this one is done. But race is starting to settle down nicely, and once again, he's just making a habit of this lately, isn't he? Bergens has got a mountain to climb, likes putting himself under the pump to start things off.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's going to have to battle hard to get himself back up to the front of the field here, as it is Lavis giving Jack Boyd the hurry along at this point in time. Lavis, the fastest man on the track, not only overall, but last lap around as well by 1/100th of a second, but margin is margin, and last lap around the quickest man on the track. So he's definitely applying some pressure to the back of Boyd's car, and he'll know he needs to keep up with him to make something of the night tonight. Of course, these cars fuel limited at the start, so we're looking at pit stops probably at around about the hour mark at an estimate, and then they'll have to make the decision whether or not they conserve a little bit now and maybe take a little less fuel in that stop, or what they do. But we'll obviously, as always, analyse the various pit strategies that could come out of this one.
Brady Buchanan's actually back in the lane again, so curious as to what's going on there. It doesn't look like he's too damaged, unless he's grabbed the fast repair surely, but that's an odd one for me. In terms of fuel, these cars in the baseline setup have somewhere around in the realm of 50 litres on board. Can go a little bit either way. So I'd expect them in somewhere around what the 45-minute mark, and then fuel it up until they to make it home. So yeah, that's what I'm expecting from our drivers this evening. I don't think it'll be too far either side of that. 45 minutes is probably a stretch. It's probably going to be on that two-stop strategy again.
Yeah, most definitely. And I just put up on the screen there the track weather. Evening, Frank. Thanks for joining us tonight. And they've run this one real early in the morning. Actually, I didn't see that in the notes, but we're only 7:16 in the AM, I believe, and 21 degrees, a good track temperature to be running at. So it will increase over the journey, but not substantially. So not looking to that to play too big impact tonight in the race as we get through it.
It'd be nice to see some healthier tyres than what the drivers were dealing with last week at Sebring. There was not a car in the field. Yeah, so oh well, such is life. Buchanan's got a lot of work to do as well. McMahon just decided that enough was enough. He's just, yeah, bin it and call it a night, I think, at that point. Matty Cardleone is doing probably. So we've got a few drivers on the Climb Fest very early on in the piece. Stephen Bartholomew was currently the hard charger. Goes off coming out of Hell Corner, and he'll slide down the field just a couple places, and all of a sudden be back on level pegging with most guys right throughout the field. So right now you've got guys that are up 4 positions, which is Glenn Firth in P4 up from 8th, Matty Cardleone in 6th up from 10th, Sam Bartholomew in 14th was 8th, in 10th was 8th up from 14th, and Sam Thurtell and Dwayne Voss and Rodney Hobbs all behind him are all +4 positions.
Yeah, absolutely. So the guys there, Brady Buchanan, did see on the notes there had another incident as well, which I had pointed out. And it looks like Hayden Jackson has done the same thing. He's entered pit lane very early on and is currently taking on fuel. So this is an interesting alternative strategy for him, but he is refilling that car. No damage to it as far as we can tell.
I don't half mind this. Like we said, we think we're probably somewhere in the realm of 10 to 15 minutes short on the one stop. Yeah, look, track position, just being able to focus, head down, focus on your own race. I think is probably going to be the key factor here. If you can get away from all those other cars, they're going to have their own incidents. Yeah, look, it's going to be an uphill battle for Hayden Jackson for the rest of the evening, you know, running towards the rear end of this field. And I think he's going to be a little bit short at this point in time and need to save just the tiniest little bit of fuel. But if he can do that, he should be home and he should be hosed. So good luck to him tonight, and fingers crossed the strategy plays dividends for him.
And I've just had Phil jump into the chat from Twitter, from Twitch even. Thanks for joining us, Phil. He said that Jack Boyd has raced in the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge, which is the contributing factor to his competitive iRacing. So thanks for letting us know that, Jack. We appreciate it. It's certainly an eye-watering iRating. There'd be people who would certainly be scared looking down from that perspective, as we're on board with Jack at the moment. Still under pressure from Trent Lavis, although the gap has widened ever so slightly out to just on half a second. But around here, half a second is a reasonable gap as they make their way across the top of the mountain yet again through Great and up into Reed Park. We're going to get across the top here through Brock Skyline, where all those signatures are famously on the wall, as they then make their way back down the mountain one more time. In fact, we've probably got at least another 40 times or so to go before we get towards the end of the evening.
Yep, fair few to go here, so I'm getting, just as a heads up, a little bit of an FYI, I'm getting approximately 51 laps, with thanks to Race Labs for popping that out from the information we'll pull prior to the race starts. So if they were to turn qualifying laps, every single lap of the race, we'd be looking at 51 laps, 52 laps in that realm. So I'd expect 50, pretty much bang on the nose. I think you called it pretty much perfectly, Stuart. There you go.
Excellent to know, and we are time certain, however, so, you know, there are strange things that happen, but yeah, I think that's probably where we're at. We jump on board with Glenn Firth, who still 3 places up this evening in 5th place. He has Glenn Boyd hot on his heels as Glenn tries to make his way up to maybe do a repeat of our result at Sebring last week when he joined Jack on the podium for the first father-son result in the Aus Pro-Am Sim Series. So he will work diligently, no doubt, throughout the evening to make it happen. He had a massive charge last week and didn't take tyres and yeah, ran the course and did a really great job to bring home his first podium of the season as well. So you can see here he is trying to put a move on Glenn Firth. He's up in the inside as they head over the crest here. He's really well positioned here to put the car up into 5th position, and he gets it done really well. He's got to hold the line there and get a good exit, and that is a really good clean pass from Glenn Boyd as he moves his way up into 5th place. And in fact, last lap around, the fastest lap of the race so far with the 2:04.59 from Glenn Boyd. So great driving.
Fallen actually 2 places prior to that move from his starting position, so was able to stick in a lap good enough to get him into 4th place, and ended up in a little bit of a similar boat to Luke Bergen's. Couple of mistakes early on. Saw him sliding down the board, but if he's going to keep turning laps like that, well, Jack might actually have to keep an eye over his shoulder.
So Luke Bergen's, we just did jump on board with Luke as you were saying that, and he ran straight through at the making his way down the mountain, so he'll serve a time penalty for that. I would expect to see him slow down a little bit down Mountain Straight here with that cut through.
I thought I detected the engine was a little bit off note actually coming out of yellow. So
okay, so maybe he has already made that penalty adjustment there. They get a slowdown for cutting the track, but now Glenn Boyd firmly on his way to challenge Luke Bergens for 4th position if he can get onto the back of him, which they're running basically identical laps last time around, so we'll see what comes of that.
It's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward quite to be honest with you, Stuart, just to see if Glenn decides he just wants to attach his BMW onto the rear end of the Bergens-driven McLaren. He's just slightly outside of giraffe range. Now the McLaren's going to be 1.5 miles faster in a straight line, and to the tune of, I can actually compare it. So actually it was only 1 kilometre an hour difference between Bergens and Boyd on that last time by, but Laves is actually the one who is turning the highest straight line speeds. Actually, I lied about that. It's Hayden Jackson who's gone faster the last time around at 279. I have no idea where he's pulled that out of, but anyway, there you go. Laves 276 at the moment was the fastest in a straight line, but I'm going to go ahead and say that Bergens is probably the fastest unaided. But that thing, she takes off like a bottle rocket. Matty Cardleone's actually gone ahead and thrown the caution flag. It looks like there might be an incident going down the dipper.
Yeah, right, okay. I was just noticing here Steve Bartholomew's car's got a guard that has disappeared off it, and that is not going to help that car's straight line speed. So we may see a bunch of drivers jump into pit lane as a consequence of this call, because albeit we're only 8 laps in, that might be enough from there to avoid the splash and dash at the end of the race if they fill these cars up to the brim. So let's see. They will still need to make that. They may still need to make that second stop. We'll just see.
I think they will. I don't think they can get home from here, because you've got to remember as well that we've got 25 minutes till the halfway till an hour to go,
yep.
and
most of these cars can't run longer than
very
an hour.
Close. Yep. So it's tough. It really is, because I feel like you want to take. I would be coming in and throwing as much fuel as you possibly can in the tank, because they didn't start with a full tank, and they didn't start with an empty tank either. So it wasn't like anyone was pushing for some very, very quick pace around the start. They didn't have much control over that whatsoever, and the pits will be closed until they actually get onto the back of the safety car. So
yes.
It won't be this time by.
No.
It'll be the next time by.
Spot on. So this might also work well for Boyd and Bergens, who of course lost those places at the start of the race. they'll get a free kick back up onto the back. It is good actually that it will close the field up. As I actually see Matty Cartaleone in pit lane.
Oh, that is a banged up Mercedes. Yeah, I'd say he's going to jump over to race control for the rest of the night.
Let's see what happens here. Yeah, he's gone real wide. He's been in the grass across the top, and then he's played a bit of Pinball Wizard across the top of the mountain there. Oh, and that's what happened to Steve Bartholomew there. We're just seeing that live on screen. So he equally lost control, completely separate accidents, and ended up tapping Matty there, who was just parked off the track as he needed to be.
Tell you what, I think that was both of those cars looked like they're going to be doing a fair bit of crap walking to try and get around. Brady Buchanan, I've just gotten a notification pop up on the screen that Brady Buchanan's actually crashed under pacing or under safety car conditions, not necessarily up to pacing as of yet. Yeah, you looked at coming out of the dipper. So that car, he's burned at least one fast repair. How many has he got tonight?
Really second-hand as well.
No limits on the fast repairs, so I expect him to be coming down the lane for sure.
Just, I think we'll just keep an eye on Matty Cartaleone here to make sure that he is doing what you said he was going to do. Otherwise there might be a few questions raised, but we'll see what comes out of that. But at this stage, Jack Boyd in control so far. He's led every lap, but Trent Lavis has been right behind him, keeping him honest, and that was up until this yellow flag has come out. So at this stage we might want to jump back live if I can do that, which I have done there. So we're actually heading back down the mountain, and we're expecting to see a number of the drivers jump into pit lane. I'm not sure what Trent Lavis is doing. He is a mile back. Oh, there's the pit car. The pace car runs into the wall at the at Forest Elbow. So whoever's driving that car probably won't have their job for much longer. But big gap back to Lavis and Kuznetsov. I'm not sure what's going on there. Obviously, the idea is that they are close up behind the pace car. They'll do another lap behind the Porsche safety car if it can make it all the way around after that impact in Forest Elbow.
Tell you what, Kuznetsov is doing his best possible impression of Fabian Coulthard.
Well, there's debris on the track somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, your engine temperatures, you're overheating. We don't know where it is.
Yeah, and you can see he is doing exactly. He's in 6th gear, rolling down the straight. He's doing 90k an hour in 6th gear.
That'll be what he's doing.
So
fuel saving.
Saving
Which
fuel.
Is, I feel like that's. Oh, actually, I tell you what, it might be a one-stop race. I tell you what, it might be a one-stop race. I think if you can save enough fuel under this safety car and you can just extend things, that you can get through on a one-stop race. So this safety car is actually throwing a spanner in the safety car, in the strategy works. It is going to be an absolute procession through pit lane. Never mind. Ignore that I said anything. Look, it is going to throw you completely and utterly out of sync. You're going to have to spend a lot of stationary time in the pit lane during your one stop. The benefit of stopping right now, right, is that you're not going to be gaining or losing any positions due to filling. You're going to get a lot of filling done right now, and it's going to be the bulk of the filling that you're going to have to do throughout the race. So pretty much that pit lane's pace differential going to be neutralized. Now, the alternative strategy means that if we don't get another safety car intervention, we don't get any interventions whatsoever, you have to spend a lot less time with the cars whizzing by at top speed, static. But that would nearly outweigh it with everyone else in the field would still have to transition down pit lane, and you grab a little bit of track position, and you'd be on lower fuel right now, so you'd be racy. If I was in, I tell you what, Dennis Katarik, he'd come down pit lane with the rest of them, and I think he's just driven straight through. He might have just driven straight through, and Jackson did not pit. But was Jackson in the lane earlier?
Yeah, I was
Jackson was in the lane earlier.
Jackson basically left the lane as these guys came through. So there you are there. Kodak, the incident just replayed for you there on screen. It was Matty Cartaleone and followed by Steve Bartholomew in separate incidents that brought the safety car out on track across the top of the mountain. Dennis Katarik as well, not taking a pit stop there either, or taking a short pit anyhow. He is out in second place in the Audi.
Curious as to whether or not he did. He took an 11-second stop, did Dennis? So
he's
that's enough fuel to get him through.
Yeah.
So he's looking to utilise track position. If he's holding people up behind him, then what he's done, there's no point.
Well, out of the pit stop there, he's got a straightened rear wing, because that was really second-hand after that incident that he had at Hell Corner. And he, as you say, I think he'll be close to fuel to the end, depending on how long we're under safety car for. So, what are we at now?
Jackson pitted on lap 4. Now, he would have taken 100%.
Yes.
Would have taken a fast repair.
Yep.
I have a feeling he would have taken a fast repair. And I'd say he topped off his tank at that point, which means he's going to be lighter than the rest of these guys. And he's nabbed himself a whole bunch of track position.
Yep.
So if this goes green to the end from here, the guys that he's racing are in trouble. However, he also needs to make sure that he can get home on that fuel. So he's got to be a little bit light, and I'm talking a little bit light. I'm talking 1 to 2 laps, maybe. So, in a strategy play, he might have played himself back into this. Is that Jackson that's just gone around the car? No, it was Brady Buchanan that's just got another wave around, so.
And it's going to be a matter of making sure that, the faster drivers who have ended up a little bit down the field. I mean, Jack Boyd only literally 2 cars back, but making sure they get through on these guys cleanly and quickly if they are going to, because there's nothing worse than trying to make your way back through traffic and ending up off track or involved in an incident as a consequence of it. So a little bit of work to do for Boyd. He'll be looking to get it done as quickly as he can to try and re-establish a lead at the front of the pack. Once again, I mean, look, we've got the safety car lights on. They will do one more lap under the pace car. We would expect to see that, safety car.
By now.
Sorry? Yeah, they'd be out by now. So it's we'll do one more lap. So the guys will be saving as much fuel as they can on that lap around as we'll just jump on board with Jack Boyd. Just have a look at how he's getting it done. So he'll be in 6th gear, just rolling around the track for as much as the lap as he can.
I have another inkling that Brady Buchanan might actually be back at the lead lap now. He's managed to grab 2 laps back during the pace car. So Matty Kildore's given him 2 wave arounds. So big win there for Brady.
That's fantastic, and it's good as well from the race administrators to get him back onto the lead lap. Obviously, we've got plenty of time to go in this one. It's not going to affect anyone else's race at this point in time, and he's currently across the top of the mountain. He's about to come down into Forest Elbow. So he'll get himself back up and around into this and get on the lead lap, as you say.
I think he should be able to get back onto the rear end of these guys, but even if he doesn't, he'll be pretty much turning himself into shot as they go green. So yeah, he's not be too far off. So, but
no, he'll get himself back up. He's coming back down and travelling at a heck of a pace, of course, to make his way back up onto the back of the pack. So. And Charlie the Unicorn will be very happy indeed that he's managed to get some luck or get a wish or whatever you want to call it to get himself back around to the back of the field.
Do you have to donate a kidney in the Candy Mountain Cave for that one?
He may well have, I don't know. Whatever he's done, obviously the sponsorship arrangement there, very, very interesting. But he'll be back up on the lead group before they make their way across the top of the mountain, I think.
He's just turned and starting to head up Mountain Straight now. Gotta love the track, man. Like, it just... when it works, it works.
Yeah, I know. It is. It's an awesome addition. It does stall every now and again as well. So it's welcomed when it works, as you say. It gives you some really good insight into what is going on in the bits of the track we can't see.
It's the benefit of SCK as well. It's flexible in what mode you want to display it in, whether you want it to display car numbers when you're racing, and utilising in that format. I find the position information is actually the best way to go. Like what position within the race you are is displayed. So
one other person that I've just noticed as well who jumped up the order a little bit there was Sam Thurtell. Now he's had a much shorter stop than Rit Kuznetsov. I was wondering how Rit Kuznetsov has ended up down effectively when we get the adjusted order.
He's tyres, surely.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but he Thurtell there up into 9th position. Rit Kuznetsov has dropped down into 10th. Now he was running 3rd prior to this caution period. So he's got a lot of work to do to catch that back up, because of course he's fighting this man, Trent Lavis. As you can see in the distance there, the lights are out on the safety car. So we will go racing at the end of this lap. But as Lavis is his competitor for the evening, he needs to finish in front of him if he's going to have any chance at all.
Luke Bergens in the in-game chat has just turned real estate salesman, talking about the houses for sale down along Conrod Strait.
Yeah, so I did see that on social media as well. That there's a house for sale on Conrod Strait. What a place that'd be to live if you could get
wouldn't
there.
it? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you lose access to your driveway for a couple days a year, but sometimes it's worth it.
You can get out early morning, and you can get out in the evening, and any other time. Why would you want to go anywhere other than standing on that wall? Having said that, it's on the straight, and I'm not going to lie, I've not watched Bathurst live, so I'm not coming from a position of knowledge, but I would expect that I'd be wanting to be across the top of the mountain somewhere to watch the action as we're about to get underway. The safety car will peel off real late there. Just total no concern whatsoever for any of the requirements of car racing, as we're under the control of Hayden Jackson here at the front of the field, with Dennis Katarik right behind him, Jack Boyd, Laves, Lehman, Bergens, Boyd, Firth and Thurtell along with Kuznetsov, and it's going to be a mauling here if we're not careful, as Boyd ducks down the inside of Katarik and Laves goes right with him now as we head up Mountain Straight for the first time after that safety car period. And it is Jackson, Boyd, Lavis, Katarik, with Bergen stuck there in the middle of the pack somewhere. His car still struggling a little bit with internet reception as he is up into 5th place. And it's really, he's got the job done there on Katarik, so he's now moved up into 4th place. Hayden Jackson is trying to cut and run here as best he can in the BMW. And keeping at bay Jack Boyd, Trent Lavis.
Katarik on that restart is just dropping like a rock through the field. That's absolutely bizarre, given that he had a really slow, really quick stop. Jackson scrambling for a little bit of pace across the top. Sometimes when you haven't led a lap all year and you take the option to lead a few laps under safety car with Jack Boyd crawling all over your rear bumper, you end up with an absolute car park as you come down through Skyline down to the dipper for the first time after going green once again. It's going to be Jackson. I tell you what, Boyd is going to be looking to get by him as quickly as possible. And he's just getting turned in there nice and cleanly. So now he'll sit in the draft, try and settle it down, try and pick up a move coming into the chase. Well, tyres have cooled down a little bit. Track temperature is starting to warm up a little bit, but we're talking poignant margins here, Stuart, and this race is I think come alive with the option of a safety car and restart here.
Absolutely, and I've got to say, Hayden Jackson doing a good job here at the front of the pack, trying to get away. You can see they're breaking a little bit earlier than Jack Boyd into the chase. But Boyd's not going to be close enough at this point in time to do anything on this first lap around, and it will be Hayden Jackson to lead us through lap 1 of the restart. And he's going to have done a pretty reasonable standing lap there, 2:07.78, so not too bad. Bergen's putting the moves on Lavis as he disappears off the screen again. It's going to make it really difficult for Lavis to battle him if he can't see him. In fact, Bergen has completely disappeared off the screen, and not too sure it's showing.
A couple of flashes of smoke, and there he is.
Come back up on screen again, so up into 3rd. Kind of lucky there with that one that it didn't end up in an incident, but Jack Boyd still with work to do here. So following up on Jackson, he'll get it done where he can safely, but Jackson doing a good job at the moment to keep that BMW in front of the field.
What? Jackson's no slouch either. I mean, he hasn't been running at the pointy end, like we said. He hasn't. I don't think he's led a lap so far this season, but he's managed to put nearly a second over Boyd. Yes. So he seems to be able to get the BMW around the tight and twisty stuff, but not as strong under brakes seems to be the advantage that Boyd holds over him.
Small mistake there from Boyd on the exit from turn 4, just heading up the hill. I don't know if he got a little bit aggressive on the throttle and maybe spun it up, but that was where that gap opened up.
Goes up at the cutting, yeah. Now down through Forest elbow once again, so Boyd will still be punching a hole in the air there for Bergens. And Hayden Jackson as well, so look, a draft is going to be a big part of this motor race, I can say, for pretty much the very near foreseeable future. Who manages to make the most benefit out of that? I think we're about to find out. Boyd's going to be crawling all over the rear end, dips out of the draft just a little bit. Has a look, thinks twice about it, not quite close enough, but that's because Jackson is very, very wide coming through the chase. He'll set it up, he'll be down into Murray's, one of the lowest grip portions of this circuit, off camber. Bergens looks to go on as well, so it's not just one, it's going to be two. And I tell you what, Laves is lining up in the background to make it 3.
Clean passes there, and things get back underway at the front of the field. So it is Boyd Bergens Laves moving up through Hayden Jackson. Unfortunately, just running a little bit deep into the chase there and paying the price. As Jackson, Sam Lehman, Dennis Katari, Glenn Boyd, Rick Kuznetsov, Glenn Firth and Steve Bartholomew make up our top 10 at the moment. There is your new teammate with a full-pair car. And he is trying to make his way up. Daniel Webster in 11th. We've got Sam Thurtell in 12th. Brady Buchanan 13th. Rodney Hobbs 14th. Dwayne Voss in 15th. Again, at Dennis Katari, he did mention in the restart, looks to have stabilised. He's dropped back through the field. Maybe playing the game there and understanding that he may not have been able to keep up with the BMWs and just letting them through. So to conserve his race. Oh, there's a huge accident. That was Jackson, I think it was, you said, who went.
Jackson. He is facing in the wrong direction, coming over the crest. The skyline! Oh, it nearly gets collected by Brady Buchanan as well. That'll be 4 tyres and a change of pants, I think, at the stop for Jackson and Buchanan now. That was a very, very bent BMW from Hayden Jackson. He got to lead a lap, and well, now he's leading the long, long list of the losers, dropping a long way from the list, from the lead of the race now.
And that car has 0 steering whatsoever, so he will be getting the tow back to pit lane, you would assume.
He's going to try it. He's going to try and crab walk this thing down.
Looks a lot more like a Dune buggy than a BMW now after that one riding the wall. And I'll tell you what else, who would be getting a change of undies will be the stewards at that flag marshalling point. We've seen a BMW launch itself along the wall in front of them there, but we jump back on board with our lead 3, Boyd, Bergens and Laves, all fighting incredibly hard to be the ones leading this race at the moment. I'm going to have a quick look here at the relative speeds down Conrod Straight between the McLaren and the BMW. The McLaren is going to get a huge advantage when we get out of the draft, so I'm not going to be too surprised if Bergens is close enough, if he can put a move on Jack Boyd. But of course Bergens under pressure at the moment from Laves behind him, so we'll stick with the front 3 at the moment. As we get close to the hour mark there, Laves trying to stick his nose up the inside, up through turn 4, and
I tell you what,
never going to get that done there.
Kuznetsov has been turned around. Oh, and he's just collected Brady Buchanan as well. He got a tap from Thurtell by the sounds of things. It looked like it was an attempt at a pass, didn't quite make it happen, and Kuznetsov facing the wrong direction. That is going to hurt his chances against Laves. He's maintained his position on the lead lap. So that's the most important part, but I can see another BMW coming down for a service.
And there's damage. There's damage on the right-hand front corner of Laves' car as well. So I don't know if he picked that up trying to make that move into turn 4. or not, but it may well have been, and that BMW now damaged on that right-hand front corner. That's going to affect him down the straight here.
Well, the thing doesn't look like it's steering straight either. Whether or not that's just it reacting to the crown on the road, we'll find out in the near future. Guitarek has made his way back up through the field a little bit more now, but Labour seems okay. Runs it a little bit wide there through the chase, slightly too deep, but catches it up with no more than a 1x, and probably a bad run coming down here into Murray's. And Guitarek will be crawling all over the back end of him. He's fallen a long way back from Bergen though, and that's a problem.
The Audi there, that's significant impact damage on the front of that car. I'm surprised we didn't get any notification about it at all. The only place he was close was up into the cutting, so I'm not really sure whether or not he's had a net code there and that's what's caused it. Certainly no damage on the back of Bergen's car, so not really sure what the deal is there, but we'll keep an eye on him for a lap or two, particularly as well with Guitarek closing in on the back of him, that gap down to half a second between those two. You can see Glenn Boyd off in the distance there with his headlights ablaze. Very overcast day at Bathurst. It's probably deliberate to try and keep the track temperatures down.
So I thought I saw Bergen's in the wall coming out of Griffin's then, but I was just getting up and over the curb. The car stepped a little bit sideways. That's not when you want the car to step sideways! Bergen's has a moment! As he comes towards Skyline, he's going to be sideways! He's backing it in where Rick Kelly's throttle cable broke! And that is a backwards McLaren hitting that flag marshal post of the wall. The tyre barrier is just in front of there. He's still rolling, and that's the important thing, but man, I tell you what, the crews better have some underwear on standby tonight because there is going to be a fair few pairs that need to be changed.
I'm not gonna lie, that car actually looks in reasonably good nick given the incident that we just saw, albeit it backed into the fence. The wing on the back of it's not damaged. There's no damage to the back. Oh, there's a little bit of damage to that wing.
Yeah, but that's it. It was the tyre barrier he backed it into,
yeah,
so that may have saved him.
Might get away with that. We saw probably some rear stability issues with that at Sebring as well. So just something that he needs to be aware of. That moves Dennis Guitarek up into second place in the Audi.
Made his way past Lavis on that last lap as well, so right now he's +5. I tell you what, there's a whole host of movers and shakers in both directions if you really have a look at it from that point. There's 3 guys who have not changed their positions from where they started in the race. That's Jack Boyd, Trent Lavis, and Glenn Boyd in first, third, and fourth, respectively. Guitarek +5, up from 7th to 2nd, as Bergens is actually going to take the opportunity to dive down the lane. Daniel Webster is +6 from 11th up to 5th. Sam Lehman +5 from 12th to 7th. Bartholomew +6 from 14th to 8th. And Thurtell +6 as well, from 15th up to 9th. Man, there's some movers and shakers out there in the field tonight.
That damage on the front of Guitarek's, on the front of Lavis's car is definitely going to impact his straight line speed as we spoke about, and that is where Guitarek made up a lot of time on Lavis. So that gap to grow, it's really close to the wall there, Lavis. Guitarek across the top of the mountain as Bergens emerges from pit lane.
It's going to be a long race again for Bergens. Doesn't like making it easy for himself, but then again he locked in not an easy car to drive in the McLaren right at the start of the season. But Guitarek, to go from race control 1 week to P2 on the track the next week, has done himself a pretty good job here, I'd say, Stuart.
He'll be happy with where he's come to, that's for sure. So, see race control tonight. The box may be potentially empty. I haven't actually checked on that. There's Brady Buchanan. We've got a notification that he's had an incident as well. But you can see there the gap widening between the Audi of Guitarek and Trent Lavis as they head down the straight. So it's starting to settle down a little bit. What it's meant is this man's managed to open up a gap of around about 2 seconds for himself at the front of the field. Just going to quick look back through the grid just to see where the battles are close, and to be brutally honest, things spreading out a little bit. This man here always seems to just slip his way up through the field into good positions. I swear it would have been 5 or 6 laps ago I was talking about him being down in 11th or 12th, and here he is now up in 5th position. So a good restart for Daniel Webster, moving him up the field. Also just a notification there that we had Sam Thurtell have a small incident. So we'll check in with Sam now and see where he's at. May have just been a slide or so. Let's have a look at that one. The car looks reasonably straight.
Yeah, I tell you what, he's just dipped the rear wheels off coming into the Murray's.
Yeah, coming down into the Murray, yeah, fair enough. So that one, an innocuous incident by any stretch of the imagination.
That's my favourite trick, that one. Drop the rear wheels in the dirt and then try and brake and see what happens.
It's easy enough to do.
I'm very skilled at it. I'm not going to say that it's a skilled move, but I'm very good at it.
Hayden Jackson has another moment, unfortunately for himself. He's not panning out how he had hoped. Yeah, Dennis Gatarik now coming down the mountain, down the stretch.
Actually, I think Jackson may have had a shifter issue, because that BMW was absolutely screaming when it came down towards Forest Elbow.
Oh, okay.
And there was no touch on the wall whatsoever, so...
We're about to... Dennis Gatarik, fastest man on track last lap around, as we're getting incredibly close to the hour mark here. So these cars...
Say, he looked like he really caught up to Jack Boyd there, but yeah, I wasn't seeing things.
No, you weren't. So he's actually, Boyd's had to navigate some slower traffic, shall we say, and ended up with Gatarik almost half a second quicker on that last lap. Gatarik getting a little bit of a kind of run around the lap traffic there, so that can happen. That's the nature of motorsport.
I mean, it's not just the nature of motorsport, it's also the nature of the mountain. She's not a... Oh! Gatarik was unstable as anything heading into the cutting that time by. A few of the drivers starting to struggle with keeping their machines on the line, so... Remember, Gatarik's got to be pushing a little bit, so he would be sitting on a lower fuel load than Jack Boyd at this point in time. And, I mean, I'm going to throw it out there because it's potentially something that could have happened, but I'm not going to say that I think it's what happened, but I think there's a small percentage chance that Gatarik may have only taken a set of rear or front tyres, and that would actually explain his lack of pace on the restart as well. So it could be just a really poor restart followed up by a mistake, but if he's not got fresh, if he took a set of fresh rear tyres or fresh right-hand side to the tyres, I doubt you'd take front tyres here. That would explain a lot, and he could be sitting pretty and be potential. That could pay dividends. Again, not now, but in half an hour, 3/4 of an hour's time, when everyone else is struggling to keep their cars on the road, Gatarik may not have to worry about that.
Absolutely, I think he'll be happy with where he's positioned as we cross the hour mark and get towards, as usual, that last 30 minutes is what everyone needs to stick around and watch for as we get towards it ever so slowly, but we will get there. And when we do, it's on. So stick around, don't go too far, because we need to see that last 30 minutes of this race. So this is the last round of the Aus Pro-Am Sim Series, as we mentioned earlier on, 4 seasons. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with season 2. With a change of cars, we're heading off to the GT1s and track configurations as well. So we'll come on the series. We definitely need to thank HJ Plant Repairs for coming on as the lead sponsor for season 1. They've done a massive thing by contributing to the series. So we thank them for their participation and support. Of course, the Hard Charger Award as well, brought to us by Peninsula Transfers. Thank you for your contribution. That award, looking at this stage, will absolutely going home with, I think it was Stephen Bartholomew taking that one out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a lock-in this one. So when you drive a 4GT, luck may not necessarily be on your side in terms of qualifying pace, but consistency has been the tone for Stephen Bartholomew, with mild exceptions right at the start of tonight, but not enough to put him off the lead lap, which he's made full advantage of. He's made his mistakes and now he's settled in. So
constant progress, I believe, is what I would call it. And then of course we've got D&O Building Maintenance, who jumped on board for the qualifying award throughout the season as well. So thank you.
The Jack Boyd Award. Gotcha.
It is the Jack Boyd Award. It's fair to say so. Thank you to them for getting on board with the series as well and helping make all this possible. And to everyone who's contributed throughout this season as well, a big shout out to you all for helping out and getting things up and running here, as we have the privilege of broadcasting this series to the world. And yeah, that's where it's at, but plenty of things to come, so make sure you keep an eye on FGM eCast, and we will continue to update you on when things happen, and obviously when we're going to be online. So really looking forward to the future and the things that we're going to bring you, as we're 56 minutes to go in this one. Jack Boyd's still firmly in control. He's opened that gap up again to Tarek behind him to 2 minutes, to 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds there. Lavis another 2.5 seconds further back down the field. In fact, the battle at the moment is between Glenn Firth and Stephen Bartholomew. Just around about half a second between the two cars here. And other than that, the field is spaced out a little bit over the mountain.
Yeah, a few drivers in a little bit of fuel conservation mode at the moment. It's not impossible for the drivers to get home from where they were, but it would be an extremely difficult ask, and I'd be looking for lap times consistently in the 208 range, which is potentially Thurtell. 207, 208 range, you'd need to be saving, a lot of fuel each and every single lap. But if those guys, if that's the sort of pace they're able to do, I think they were a little bit faster. I think they were in the 207 range in terms of qualifying pace, so I don't expect them to be saving quite as much fuel to be able to get home. So one more stop, I think, for most drivers. Actually, I think for everyone. I think Dennis Katarek's just come into pit lane, and Lavis has taken the option to follow in him, which I don't think is a bad call from Lavis.
Yeah, well, he needs to get that repair done to get the straight line speed back in that car, which will get done now. That means we've got Glenn Boyd, Jack Boyd show out in the front of this one. I'll tell you now, and I know that you're going to say that I'm biased, but Luke Bergen's pitted on lap 16. Now, we're talking about fuel saving strategies. Lap 16 had him pit at around about an hour 3 to go.
Yeah, I think he's good. I think you're right. I think he had damage as well because he got that rear wing tussle.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think he took the option and just sort of played things through in his head, and he said, look, there's maybe potentially no damage here, but what's the harm? If I come in, I save the tiniest little bit of fuel, again, I think he's in that lap range, then he gets home and his car's fixed and he's all back to square one. And bigger part, he's out of the traffic. I think that's going to be the biggest part that people have ignored, is he actually goes by Sam Lehman, and I think Kuznetsov pitted on lap 15. Kuznetsov's on the bubble. I'm not sure if he'll make it.
Yeah, he fueled slightly shorter, as you would expect, and I'm not sure. I'm not going to make a call on that one. I think you're right. I think that Bergens is going to be safe to the end. So we'll...
it's more of saving. I think he will have to save, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere near a lot. And I think he'll be pushing. Bergens will probably be pushing for, I'd say, probably the next 15-20 minutes, and then he'll go into fuel save mode from there. Because right now, whilst he's got clear track around him, he needs to have the head down. and
Well,
you'll be able to see that in terms of pace with Labers and the other car ahead of him on track.
Cars in positions 1 through 6 still definitely need to fuel again. All having pitted on lap 9 under that safety car. Now obviously they will have saved some fuel being behind the safety car for a couple of laps after that stop, but certainly not enough to get home.
No way. Absolutely no way.
Not a chance.
Interesting to note, I think with that safety car period, we've knocked anywhere up to 3 to 4 laps off our total lap time. So I'm thinking we're looking at around 47 laps with the safety car intervention.
Yes.
We're on lap 22 now. That would put, what did I say, 47 laps. So we're looking at 32 as a stint. Is that right? Yeah, 32 as a stint we're looking at for Kuznetsov and 31 for Bergens. That's a long stint, Stuart. I'm all of a sudden starting to question my math and think, hang on, maybe these guys aren't safe.
Well,
anyone that pits from now, home for sure, guaranteed. Lock it in, no questions asked.
yeah, inside the hour, no problems at all around here in the GT3s. An hour of fuel for Bathurst, no problem at all. So Sam Patel into pit lane now, so he will be fueled to the end. Getting the Carbot Motorsport Mercedes fueled up and getting new tyres as well, because why not?
2 laps to go. 23, we need to add 7 laps. It's going to be about 14, 15 minutes. So that would be just over an hour to go. So we'd be looking at an hour and 5 when... So, okay. Adjustments to those calculations, Kuznetsov, got to pit again, in my mind. Got to pit again.
I think that's right.
Bergens has got to save about 5 minutes worth of fuel. And if there's +1 lap written into that equation, if it just happens to be at a really, really bad time when Jack Boyd crosses the line and grabs that white flag, I think he's dead in the water. So, hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen. We have a chess match unfolding.
Of course, Bathurst is one of those tracks where it is a little easier to save some fuel.
He's got to grab the clutch every lap from now on.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. He's not doing it at the moment, obviously, so... And still taking the full rev range, no questions asked, so... I don't know. Very, very hard to go an hour or over an hour in one of these cars around here. So, who knows? We're going to have to wait and see.
It's doable, but you need to be saving for the inside. Like I said, from my mind, I think right now is when you need to push if you're in Bergen shoes, before the traffic starts serving their stops and filing back in front of you. That is your optimum time to be pushing, whilst there's no traffic to really be dealing with, and you're trying to put them in your rear view mirror when they come through. So whether or not his story changes, I'm going to go with the number. I reckon from about 40 minutes to go, he's going to have a number in mind that he needs to get. So that's a long time that he can save a lot of fuel, but man, and it's going to be some saving.
A fair bit of saving.
Jackson off the road again on the top skyline. That's not good. Or in terms of race right now, I'll tell you what, Daniel Webster is +8 spots, and he's only 6 seconds off the rear end of Glenn Boyd. So he's absolutely flying. Stephen Bartholomew's, I mean, all of this, remember, is yet to be pit lane adjusted as well, but Stephen Bartholomew's also +9. He's a fair bit further back though. He's 8 seconds off the rear end of Webster. He had a spin towards the early portion of the race, but his lap pace is faster than Firth ahead of him and slower than bulk of the cars behind him, barring back down towards third tail. So Bartholomew's probably going to pop out in 11th, Firth will probably be 10th. Like if they turn their consistent lap pace with clear track right now, I think Webster's going to be, you'd say somewhere around 9th, maybe? Who knows? Actually, probably 7th. I reckon Webster would pop out in 7th because you'd have Bergens behind him. Yeah, I reckon Bergens. Yep.
You've convinced yourself?
Lock it in, Eddie.
Lock it in?
Yep. Is it $1 million?
We'll only find out soon enough because Netsov putting some pressure on the back of Bergens as well at the moment. Just ever so slightly catching up on him. And because this is a good opportunity for Bergens actually to save some more fuel. If he can let Kuznetsov by and stay within half a second of him, he might have a shot. That just opens up the equation just a little bit more. So at this stage, the other thing is Gitarik is 40 seconds behind. Yeah, he is fueled to the end. He hit it on lap 21. There's no problem that he's going to make it to the end of this race without pitting. He is 40 seconds behind Jack Boyd. Now, the pit lane transit time, even with a 30-second stop, is the 1 minute, around about 1 minute. He's not going to have to full fuel, so we'll say around about a minute pit lane transit time. So Denis Gitarik is the effective race leader at the moment.
I think, have a look at Rick Kuznetsov's stop. I think have a look at Rick Kuznetsov's stop. So 45 seconds.
45 seconds. So still.
So he's
Gitarik,
right on it.
Yeah, still at the moment. Gitarik gets out in front. Phil's jumped into the chat, and obviously a supporter of ours. Thanks, Phil, for watching. It refers back to the AEST series at Bathurst just a couple of weeks ago, where he's had a look, and the GT3s lasted an hour and 3 minutes.
Okay, so in that case,
fuel.
Well, but that wouldn't have been Bergens and the McLaren. We don't have any data on Bergens.
Not on the McLaren, but we certainly do have the Audis and the Mercedes. So it's a good indicator. Yeah, absolutely not 100%, but an hour 3 means that if the McLaren's similar, he's going to be right on the border, as you say. So that little bit of saving is going to be required no matter what.
And whether or not he opts to let Kuznetsov's through can be an interesting one. But also in that, remember, we don't have the data again. We don't have a lock yet on the BMWs. But for my mind, I think Jack Boyd would know what he needs to do to get the car home, and I don't think any doubt he would be assisting Glenn with the math there, trying to get him home. I'll tell you what, in the Boyd household, do you reckon Mama Boyd is the math number?
Well, I mean, that's not where I thought you were going. Actually, I'd love to see their sim rig set up because, of course, Jack telling us last week, that they raced together. So you must have some heck of a sim room to have two great rigs next to one another running the race. So, but yeah, look, definitely we'll be working together as they do the benefit of being in a team. As the gap out to Jack Boyd now from Denis Gitarik moves into the mid 41 second range. It's going to need to be 45 plus to be confirmed of regaining the lead after that pit stop cycles through. So he's going to need to, what are we looking at, around about 9 laps. They have 2 sim rooms, Jill's telling me. That sounds fantastic. The critical time for them with the pits, what are we looking at? Probably around lap 41, lap 40.
Yep, which is going to leave us a 6-7 lap dash to the finish.
Yep. So
I think that 10-second stop, I think that's all they're going to need in terms of fuel, because they would have bulk stopped under the safety car, so they'd be close. So Jill, shout out, are you doing the math for these guys? Do you want to buy into some of their success?
I think Jill's pretty happy that both of them are 1 and 2 at this stage, but comes back within the chat. And Jill, thank you for supporting us all season as you have, as we mentioned last week, tuning in every week. For the last around 11, 12, I've lost count, but
10,
tuning in
10.
every week.
I think it's only 10.
Only 10? Okay, there you go. They all blend into one after a while. particularly with how much happens in these races, they are always action-packed. In fact, this is probably our quietest race so far this season, which really surprises me given the track that we're at.
Yeah. Two shakes, I don't want to tell you.
Jill's not going to buy into it, which I agree with. We've got, what we've got is a Boyd 1-2. That is the most important thing from her perspective, I believe. So Daniel Webster in third. So he has done a cracking job, as we've said. Up into third. Race Image Motorsport there. He's still yet to pit. So we've got our top 5 to do their pits still. Boyd's 1 and 2, Webster, Firth, and Bartholomew to fuel, having stopped on lap 9.
Bartholomew right on the rear end of Firth right now? Is that what I'm seeing?
He is indeed, as Luke Bergens has crashed.
Oh no, he is not having a great night.
So we'll see what's happened here. He's really slow across the top, so I'd say he's clipped a wall before that, and that car has bad steering damage, and that's where that
he's
finishes. So he's getting a tow back to pit lane.
He's left the server,
and he has left the server.
Yeah, so he's just gone, you know what, it's been a tough night, I've had enough, I've tried, it's just not come together, let's have some fun and let's throw the race away. Sometimes, look, if they've got enough fuel left, I'd love to see the boys hit the jump at the end of Conrad. I think a great way to send off the season.
Yeah, well, we may see that. We can see that at the end of the first AEST season, actually, the guys doing the big jump.
For those of them that had fuel left.
That is very true. As we're just on board now with Steve Bartholomew. He is very, very active on the back end of Glenn Firth here, trying to get himself up into 4th. Both of these drivers still to pit. But Bartholomew did take on a lot more fuel or potentially tyres at that first stop. I doubt it was tyres, probably should have just been fuel, so he'll have a much shorter stop at the end of the race. The GT.
Seconds. That's a lot. That's tyres. That's got. I'm not going to say it's 4 tyres. Extra fuel on 2 tyres?
Interesting to take tyres 9 laps in though.
Oh yeah, but at 9 laps, like all of a sudden, 9 laps at the back end of the race has a chance, you know, of actually playing something. As Bartholomew's really got this Ford GT wound up in a straight line. The Le Mans Spec Ford GT trying to get himself in position for an overtaking move. Got a little bit unsettled on the curb, trying to position the car on the right hand side of the road. Not able to do it, but I think that the place have a dive might be down towards Murray as he throws the dummy. He's got it alongside. Now he's got to get it pulled up for Bartholomew. Looks a little bit twitchy in initial braking, but he's got it done nice and cleanly. Good job by both drivers, actually, I think there.
I think Firth maybe ran slightly too deep there to get that one pulled up. And that helped Bartholomew get it done as well. So he now up into 4th position. With the run through for him, it will be a late splash and dash for him. 39 minutes to go. And we also need to, at this stage, just give a shout out to AFTERSHOCK PCs, Ryan and just say that plenty during this season, and we thank them for their support of our channel. Computer work, gaming, sim racing, or otherwise. Go and see the guys out there at AFTERSHOCK. You can order online, you can custom build your PC, do just about anything together for you in terms of building you a computer that's going to meet your needs. So do jump out or jump on their website and have a look at them. And,
both budgetary and hardware, those restrictions as well. For those of you that are new, I'm walking friends through building their own PCs and stuff, states-wise mates at the moment, and if you're first ever build, you can have somebody on your side. It is always a good idea. Talk to the guys over there and tell them that Stuart sent you.
Absolutely, and of course, Virtual Motorsport Mentor, Chris and the team at Virtual Motorsport Mentor. They are the place to go if you're trying to generate extra pace, need to learn more about sim racing or your equipment. Certainly, as they say, everyone, even the professionals, get coached, and there's nothing wrong with getting a little bit of help to improve your race craft. And if you're looking for it, Virtual Motorsport Mentor is the place to go.
But Stuart, it's only putting your foot to the floor and turning the wheel left and right, isn't it? Nah, it's not that simple.
Not that simple, absolutely not. Particularly not to get consistent, that is for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the difference, right? That's the difference between somebody like Jack Boyd and a lot of the other drivers, is that they can all do it. But Jack Boyd, I've only seen have one accident this season, and that was just a minor off at spring. That's it. I've never seen somebody so... Look, his pace, yeah, sure, he's quick, but just so consistent. Oh, he's just a robot.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that involved in generating the pace, so he certainly is, and it's shown all throughout this season. As just keeping an eye on the gap there, 44 seconds to Dennis Katarik, back in 6th as the lead driver, having done his pit stop to fuel to the end.
Ain't faster than Katarik on the last lap, so Katarik's actually about to come up on some traffic, and I tell you what, Laves, look at Laves!
Yeah, he's
all of a sudden
up
moving and
towards him.
shaking.
Absolutely, so Lavis potentially fueled to the end as well. So Rick Kuznetsov, the only one now left on track who is questionable whether or not he's in the window. We don't believe he is. So we'll keep an eye on whether or not he jumps through for a splash and dash at the end. We do know that the Boyds, Daniel Webster, Steve Bartholomew and Glenn Firth all have to make another stop, and we estimate around about 20 minutes time, potentially.
Oh, word. Pace from Jack Boyd on that last lap through, 2:04.88. So he's, well, his father's just driven across the line, and he's over a second faster than his father. So he's really generating some pace right now as Jack Boyd. And I tell you what, he might be pushing just to build that margin to Katarik coming up to he'd be in range of the stop anywhere about now.
Potentially listening to our coverage while racing and just hearing that he needs to build that gap that little bit further. I'm not going to lie, it's been one of our strengths, which is predicting what happens on this reasonably accurately. Jack spent a lot of time at the wheel, has done since he was a very little boy chasing his dad. Thanks for the added info there, Jill. It's paying off in spades with Jack extremely strong, doing a fantastic job. And Glenn equally at the moment in 2nd place. So 1-2, the only improvement they can have on the result last week, as Dennis Katarik gets passed by Trent Laves. Is passed by Glenn Firth there, and that is a good move by Firth to get that done.
No,
sorry, I'm
the other
back
way
to
around,
front.
Stuart. Yeah, Firth,
I am back to
Firth
front.
is get to pit, so this is actually very, very bad for Katarik at this point in time. This is going to hold him up. And I tell you what, Laves has all of a sudden had a mistake somewhere, because he's fallen right off the back of Katarik again. What's going on there?
Hence my confusion. I thought, oh, yep, he's got the job done there, and the timing screen just hadn't updated. But no, this is for position. And there's a car there. Looks like Sam Thurtell just turned around in the run down the mountain, doing a good job, to be brutally honest, of not trying to turn that around while there's plenty of cars piling down the hill in front of him and wrecking someone else's night. Katarik here will want to use the draft to get the job done, potentially down. He's going to try and go round down the inside, which is a brave move down into the chase. Generally tries to push you wide there, so see how this plays out. Is he going to be far enough up? Yeah, he is. Great move by Katarik, getting the job done there to move up into 5th position. With Laves down to 6th.
Follows him through.
Yes, followed him through.
Firth.
Sorry, up into 6th.
And I think that's very, very important from Laves' perspective, because he hasn't had to bother. He made a mistake and hasn't had to bother, losing too much time, as Bartholomew takes the option to cycle through pit lane at this point in time, so it'll be interesting to keep your eyes on where he pops back out. Yeah, Gitarik couldn't afford to lose much time. Jack Boyd did a 2:07.4 on the last lap, and Glenn Boyd did a 2:09.6. So whether or not that was avoiding the issue over at Skyline and coming down towards the Dipper.
I think that may be it. I think you're right that they've maybe been caught up in that Bartholomew incident, because the timing of it seems about right given where we joined the battle and saw Sam Fertel spun around. So I think you might be spot on the money there.
It's odd for them to all lose time.
And
it's not like we can get an oil spill out on track or anything. Oh, Lavis was in the wall then, coming through. Was that Reed Park? Up underneath the tree?
Yeah, it is.
Just on the flick at the top of the
left-hand corner.
The hill there. So that might be where he's been picking up that damage, actually. Might have been making that mistake a few times tonight.
Kodak just coming in with the father-son podium again. I think that there's a good chance fuel strategy coming into it now with Bartholomew out. So he was a 48.5 transition, 13 seconds stationary for fuel. So
I tell you what, if they get the option, wouldn't it be awesome to see Jack hand it over to Glenn on the last lap and bring home a formation finish and at least Dad take one to finish the season off? That'd be awesome.
I'm sure that he'll do that. Formation finish,
me neither.
yes, but, you know, handing the race lead over, maybe we'll see. We'll see how generous he's feeling, but you know, I don't think Glenn would want to win that way either.
No, but you know, it'd just be a huge note of respect, I think. And that was the comment I think from between Jack and Glenn. There was, it's good when you get, I think the right driver pairings when you're looking at endurance racing and you're looking at a co-driving partner and somebody to work together with. I think you need that level of not only respect, but I think banter is you need to keep the relationship fun and enjoyable for both parties. And you know, when there's a father-son bond added into the matter, if it's handled in the right manner, then it's awesome. You just recall, I used to love batting at cricket with my father. Very interesting guy, a completely different guy when he's standing up the other end. So it'd be interesting to discuss maybe the family dynamic there as well. Never doubt Glenn Boyd to be amongst the mix.
Jumping around the field a little bit here. We're on board with Daniel Webster, who's currently in third. So he's got an 8-second gap back to Gitarik, but it is closing.
And Webb's still yet to pit, so...
Yeah, so I'm keeping an eye on this gap between Gitarik and the lead and just whoever's in between. It's now 46 seconds, so we believe that will be enough to get the job done for Jack Boyd, for him to be back out in front at the end.
But it'll be super tight.
It will be.
Yeah. In terms of things, Boyd has been consistently faster, but last summer it was 0.8 a couple of laps ago, and then we had a really weird time lap in terms of time in the middle there. But right now, on the last time around, it was 0.72 of a second. No, 0.62 of a second, the advantage of Boyd over Gitarik on just raw lap pace. So.
Mavis has closed that gap up a little bit as well after his early contact with the wall.
I think he's suffering quite massively in terms of straight line speed. So Lavis, I think has got a case to answer. I think he's got to pin the BMW to the rear end of that Audi if he's got a hope of trying to snatch something away from Gitarik. But I think the Boyd ship may have sailed. I'm not sure about Glenn Boyd. I think Glenn Boyd is actually in trouble here. I think he might pop out in fourth or so.
So Kodak's just asking if there is anyone heading off to Bathurst this year. Obviously the very limited ticket run there, only I think 4,000 tickets released for the 1,000. If you are lucky enough to get tickets to that one, definitely want to hear about it.
Or 4,000 tickets or a property somewhere around there. Do you know there's a motocross track and a mountain bike track actually built into the centre right up towards the top end of the mountain?
I did in fact know that.
I didn't know about the motorbike track. I knew about the mountain bike track. So,
Of course,
there you go.
plenty of motorbike racing used to go on at Bathurst back in the
didn't
day. Crazy people.
Just trying to think of his name. Gary Thompson. I think he's about 70 or 80 these days. He's actually a steward for motorcycling in northern New South Wales. Track inspector. Him and his wife. His wife name actually eludes me at this point in time, but he used to race around here, and the last time I was actually up that way and chatting with him, it just was coming up with all the memories of racing, 500cc GP bikes up and across the top of the mountain before they ceased racing motorcycles here. He said, yeah, it was an experience. For a motorcyclist, it took a lot more, I think, than a lot of people respected in terms of car racing. Yeah, sure, endurance racing is difficult, but around here to keep a motorcycle planted and run it at pace for an entire lap and then to turn around and do it again, it just sucks it out of you. He said it was one of the most hard things, and he used to do it every year, I think 3 or 4 times a year.
Insane.
Yeah, and the speeds that those things get to, and you've got 4 wheels pressed to the rubber in a car. You've got 4 wheels, putting traction to the ground, and you've got stability. You don't have to lean the thing in to a turn that. Imagine trying to turn it into Murray's with the track turning away from you, all the dirt there on the track, and you've got to try and get the thing stopped and turned in. So yeah.
And just how different the line would be as well. I mean, we just come down there through the dipper, and you can just imagine leaning across on a bike, I should say, in towards the wall. And there probably wasn't a wall there back in the day when they were motorbike riding, racing around the track. But
it'd be much more difficult because in a motorcycle, it's about balancing. You don't have brake bias. In a motorcycle, you're inputting the bias manually with your right fingers for your front brake and your right foot for your rear brake. And coming down over somewhere like Skyline, if you're not pointing in a straight line and you're not sitting the bike perfectly straight upright, and there's so little the undulation change in that section of the track, the rear brake on a motorcycle only does somewhere in the realm of 30, 20, anywhere between 25 and 35%. So we say 30% of your braking. Well, coming over Skyline, you do most of your braking on the rear wheel. So the braking distance just blows out massively, and you're wearing that rear tyre. So yeah, it's completely different.
Not a surprise at all that it's not there. I actually also saw in some chats that I was having a look at during the latter part of last week about people calling for Formula 1 to head to the mountain. That is something that will never happen again.
Oh, absolutely not.
It's safety ahead of anything else. The car's bottoming out most of the way around the track. Just an impossibility without basically destroying the track to take Formula 1 there. I don't think anyone cares about that enough to want that to happen.
Kello or Button? It was Jensen Button, wasn't it? That come across a few years ago and swapped cars.
He did a lap, yeah.
Yeah. The reason when they did a media stunt like that, they wouldn't have done it with a current generation of car, because once the cars are being the current year model worth of racing car, they can make a lot more adjustments to them to turn them into a media stunt car. So that was the only reason that something like that would have happened. And you can remember his comments about both Forest Elbow and the Dipper not being able to be anywhere near the inside of the track. So
we're just seeing a bit of pressure applied there again from Lavis on Guitaric, trying to get it done up the mountain, but not quite paying off for him. And I saw as well a notification just while we were chatting there that Rick Kuznetsov has had an incident. I think he's just run wide here. Just another one of these innocuous incidents. Yeah, he's just done the same thing again, the old back wheel on the grass trick, and he presses on after that.
Maybe drift car practice for later. These things don't work so well.
So Jay Malcolm's come on and said that his prediction is the Bend will be the next F1 track for Australia. So that was actually part of the reading that I was doing, Jay Malcolm. Thanks for your comment. So at the moment, the Bend, or sorry, I should say the Grand Prix Corporation has a contract in Victoria until 2026. 2025, and there also is talk of the motorbikes heading across to the Bend as well, but that is locked in at Phillip Island until 2026. So when Melbourne won the rights from Adelaide, they did so with about 2 years to go on the contract for Formula One in Adelaide, and part of that happened because Adelaide was broke. It was just after I think it was the National Bank of South Australia, or the State Bank of South Australia, collapsed, and the state needed to get out of the contract because they couldn't actually afford to deliver it. So I think at this stage, unless something drastic happens, and of course Victoria's on the collision course to go broke itself based on what is happening in that state at the moment, there's every chance that it could head somewhere else if the Grand Prix Corporation can't deliver on their promises to Formula One. So we will see.
Timeline, I've got 2 to 3 years. Well, 2 years you'd start a tender process for it again.
Yeah, absolutely. So the conversation won't be had there until 2023 or so. I also understand that there's still a little bit of work to do at the Bend, remembering how new that facility is to just finish off tidying up the bits and pieces required to make it truly Formula One compliant. But of course, there's plenty of work going on at that track to continue to build that facility, which is
alone the Townsville circuit that they're in discussions with building at the moment.
Yeah, well, so that's done. So that's happening.
Yeah.
And Will Power is going to be putting in some special comments, shall we call them, on the track to help them get that set up and built. So Australian Motorsport's in a good position. I think a lot of people obviously complaining when places like Oran Park and of course Calder Park, depending on your perspective, fell into disrepair or ended up being flattened and turning to housing. Sandowns headed that way at some stage, unfortunately, as we just see Jack Boyd put in the fastest lap of the race so far with a 2:04.31. But between the Bend, the new track in Townsville, the track that's coming to Cardinia in southeastern Victoria, that will end up replacing Sandown. I believe the track to be built in Geelong has also been approved recently. So there's plenty on the go for motorsport in Australia. Of course, you've got the second track coming to Bathurst. So there's
a track. It's not Geelong. It's definitely in Melbourne's western suburbs, but it's more due west of the northern suburbs, I think. There's a track up that way with a drag strip on it.
Heathcote.
I don't know. I thought it started with C. Don't quote me on that.
That's Calder Park.
It is Calder Park? Okay.
Yeah. So Calder Park is a tip.
Yeah.
So it will go, there is no question. When someone comes along with a big enough checkbook, that will disappear.
Yeah.
It is, derelict is a polite way of talking about it, but of course it's not been used for so long that that's no surprise. Anyway, back on to where we're at the moment. I spoke about fastest lap of the race last time around. Jack Boyd coming through to complete. We're looking for him to jump into pit lane. 19 minutes to go. At this stage, Daniel Webster has taken the available opportunity to run through pit lane, so he is now fueled to the end. Now, he had to do a 57.7 pit lane transit, 18 seconds stationary in that Mercedes to get himself through the end. So maybe that gives us an indication of how much fuel Boyd will need to take on, depending when he pits. Of course, both of those cars pitting on lap 9.
I think the one to be aware of is probably Stephen Bartholomew. He did a 48.67 transition time as Glenn Boyd actually makes his way down into the lane right now. So I'd expect Jack to be in this next lap for him.
Let's keep an eye on this then. It will let us know the gap. I can tell you back to Guitaric from the leader, Jack Boyd, is 52 seconds. So that should be enough, or close to enough. So we'll keep an eye here on Glenn Boyd. Of course, Jack Boyd having to transit down to the front of pit lane to get his stop done.
Glenn going to be coming out, is he?
A little bit of damage on the front there of Boyd's car, so that's being repaired as well. So Guitaric moves up in front of him. That was around 30 seconds of the gap.
And Laves went through as well, so
Did indeed.
Should be
Lavis
leaving the
has
box
done the stop.
now.
This is turning into a long one. 52, 53, 54 seconds, 55 seconds stop. So the whole transit time is going to be around a minute or so. So if that's the case for Jack Boyd too, then we're looking at this stage like Dennis Katarik is going to end up with a reasonably healthy lead with around about 15 minutes to go by the time that this pit stop is done.
I'll tell you what, Jack is a second a lap faster than Katarik, so there's gonna need to be he's got to be able to do it, right? He's surely it's Boyd over Katarik. Well, we're about to find out. Is he on his way in?
So where is Katarik at the moment? He is coming down the mountain as she comes. And total pit lane time for Firth there, for Boyd, my apologies, a 1:03.25, albeit damage repaired, but that does not take much time in the window. A little bit of damage on the right-hand front corner of Boyd's car as well, just between the bonnet and bar there, so that'll get fixed up now. And I'm not sure when that's come from, but obviously a small tap at some stage. Could have been while he was making his way back through the field on the restart after the safety car period. Oh,
that was a shorter
stop. So he's going to move well out back in front here. And one wonders why the stop for Glenn Boyd was so much longer, given that they stopped on the same lap. Perhaps I'm just making an error with the fuel number into the car when it jumped into pit lane. So as
maybe Glenn took a very short stop under the safety car.
Glenn Firth jumps in as well.
There you go, that's the fuel range right there for you. So Glenn just went in a lap earlier, maybe not quite able to save it quite as much. I tell you what, if Jack's burning slightly less fuel than Glenn, it would make up some of it, but not a huge deal because you'd need to add another lap worth of fuel in to get him home. So maybe? I don't know, but yeah, I think you're right. I think Glenn's overstocked. I don't think that's correct.
So this battle here, because it's a massive difference. Given they both pitted on the same lap, even if he did take slightly less fuel, we're only talking seconds, not as in a couple of seconds, not 20 seconds or 15 seconds. So the battle here between Katarik and Lavis really heating up. I think the damage on that left-hand front corner of Lavis' car is really affecting his ability to turn in across the top of the mountain, because he makes up a lot of time going down the mountain through this sector here, but really struggles to get it going up, and particularly through those faster left-handers as they head through Green Park and then across the skyline. So he was around about 2/10 on the start of the ascent up the mountain, and you can see here now it's down to out over 3/4 of a second, albeit the draft 80 as it closed back up on the back of Lavis.
I wonder whether that Audi has just got a better slip angle to it, meaning you can turn a little bit sharper, a little bit oversteering. I mean, we talked about its car behaviour on the baseline setup being very, very twitchy, but I reckon it might be a sharper slip angle that might be its benefit. Which would make sense across the top of the mountain in terms of across the top being able to just get better turn in, more oversteery without being aggressively oversteery.
I can tell you, I've spent a lot of time in the Audi because it's the Endurance GT3 car that we run, and it's a really, really easy car to drive in terms of handling. But where it lacks is straight line pace. So that's why the BMW is closing up on it every time they head down the mountain. And up here as well, where he's exposed going up mountain straight, but it is an nice car to drive in the windy bits, so it doesn't get as much understeering as expected for a mid-rear engine car. So, and BMW of course is a bit of a so it wouldn't surprise me if it's easier across the top.
Here as well, being able to just look after the tyre. The Beamer would have a lot of problem with really scrubbing the front tyres, you'd imagine. So front tyre temperature across an extended stint would be a problem. Actually, talking about that is probably a good opportunity to bring up track temperatures. From our starting temperature of 23 degrees Celsius, it's now 33 degrees Celsius. So the drivers, you'd say Jack Boyd's 23 seconds in the lead. He's got, let's say, 3 major mistakes up his sleeve. Well, sorry, 1 major mistake, maybe another minor mistake. In terms of track position. So, but I'd say that Gitarek's probably looked after the tyres, especially with some damage on the front left corner of the BMW of Laves. May have looked after his tyres, hung onto them a little bit better, but Laves is going to have a dive here, a little bit of a look. Not quite there, but Gitarek went in quite deep, and that's forced Laves to check up in the middle of the corner after the chase. Now he'll try and set it up coming down into Murray's. Close, gets it underneath, but won't be able to make it up going around the corner, and that'll give Gitarek a little bit better drive down through the start-finish line and into Hell Corner. Laves pulls it out once more, dives it down. Got to check up. No, gets it done nice and easily. So now Gitarek will need to be on the attack over the next couple of laps.
It's going to be held up across the top of the mountain here as well, Gitarek, and there's really few opportunities that you can think of to get anything done, and Laves will be defending as much as he can, albeit he tries up the inside of the man. We're going to have to prevent he just not with the legs in a straight line to be able to get far enough up. So really he's going to be looking to make a move to the top of the mountain, or otherwise it's going to be down into Forest Elbow where he's going to get his best chance. However, the straight line speed of that BMW is going to keep causing issues, so this battle will continue. Glenn Boyd 22 seconds down the road from this one, so potentially, unfortunately, out of contention for a podium. But things do happen, and Jack Boyd 25 seconds up the road. So really this is where the battle is at for our podium. We've also got a close battle happening between Glenn Firth and Stephen Bartholomew a little bit further back down the pack, so I'll keep an eye on that as we monitor the battle for second and third between Gitarek and Laves.
Well, Webster's not too far up the road from Firth either, so it's nearly kind of like a 3-way battle. It's not close enough to be in drafting range, but it's still reasonably close. So, but Gitarek's as the straight line weaving games commence.
The old serpentine down the straight to try and break the draft can always end it up in tears if you get it wrong and end up going into a slide. But drivers there doing a good job. So he'll be trying to set up a move down here. He's a little bit too far back. But he will use the draft where he can to his advantage and maybe try and get a good run out of Hell Corner up Mountain Straight. He's on him here. This could be on. But he needs to get it in turn and get on the gas as early as he can on that Audi. He's not quite close enough to get it done though. So we'll see how he gets going up here. There'll be a lot of defending done. He's got to go down the inside. Of course, everyone will remember the time that Craig Mounts put that VR Commodore of his around the outside of John Bow at Bathurst in 1994. That's not going to happen again here.
The one that made everyone sit up and take notice of that name.
Absolutely.
Now a household name in Australian motorsport.
Not even sure that John Bow understood what happened to him there, but obviously they ended up taking out the win between himself and Dick Johnson in 94. One of my other favourite times of the year, if you're lucky enough to have Foxtel or KO Sports, is the week leading up to Bathurst, which starts on Sunday, where they replay all of the old races that they've got footage of as the pressure is on across the top of the mountain here. Laves under all sorts of pressure from Gitarek. He really needs to get it done down the mountain here if he can do it, and there's almost nowhere. He's a little bit out of control there, heading down into the dipper. He just needs to stay patient and be as close as he can down into Forest Elbow so that he gets the draft and gets the good run out of the elbow and sets himself up for the chase. He's not going to be quite close enough again. Draft about half a second and the weaving continues. I'm really sure that's that effective in breaking the draft, to be brutally honest, but you lose more time weaving than you do anything else. But nonetheless.
Add in the crown of the road as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure it's that effective, but he's closed right up on him under brakes here. He's just, I think, going to be slightly too far back again. So he really needs to think this through and plan where he's going to make the pass. The BMW's most at risk down into Forest Elbow. So he needs to be right on him and just shove the car up the inside to try and get it done there, or needs to be up here. Oh, as he's run wide, Lavis, this could open the opportunity. He won't get the drive out of the corner there. As, I'm not sure who that is.
Just ahead of them.
12 off in front of them. And the BMW maintaining good pace up the mountain straight there, even though he was out on the grass. Got 7.5 minutes to go there. Boss coming up on the back of now. This could impede them across the top of the mountain as well. No, it won't, because he's decided to park it in the wall. But you can see how close the Audi is there, up onto the back of Lavis.
Lavis, if he wants to, could just let this one go. This is not his intended battle right now, right? He's got to keep in mind here that he's on for a championship place. And if he wants to fight, by all means fight. I'm not saying, you know, if that's his decision, fight. But if he doesn't want to fight and he just wants to lock up third in the championship, I think he's okay. So it might be worthwhile just letting Gitarik go.
He's got to get a good run out of this here, Gitarik, if he's going to get it done. He has got a good run. He's all over the back of him. He needs to sit in the draft for as long as possible and then pull out as they go around into the chase. That's where he's got to get it done. He's gone early. W's got the legs, but I reckon he's going to get it done. Of course, Lavis is going to have the advantage down the inside unless he can cut him off on the flip back. He's going to get it done. Oh, he's gone back through. Great driving from the two drivers to keep it clean as Lavis does the switchback to get that position back. As we go around to complete another lap, we'll probably have 3 or so to go as they cross the line now. And they resume this battle for another lap.
I don't think it's over by any stretch of the imagination. Lavis deciding that he's going to throw caution to the wind with third place in the championship up for grabs. He's got himself about 20 seconds or so to play with. 31 seconds is the gap back to Kuznetsov, so I don't think he's too worried about that one. In terms of
in pit lane as well, so that finishes his challenge. Oh, as we got a slide wide as well there. Drive up the hill in that BMW, really struggling. This is where the Audi is strongest. So you see the difference between these two cars come out and display itself. Again, Lavis needs to defend up and across the top of the mountain. Tarek needs to get as close as he can down into Forest Elbow. That's his best chance again. He just needs to get far enough in front to close the door before they get down into Murray's.
Lavis. Well, third plate's all but locked up. I mean, we both said that I think Kuznetsov isn't going to make it. It would have been really interesting to see where Bergens was going to pop out, but no longer with us, unfortunately, this evening is Lukey Bergens. But now, eyes back forward, Lavis versus Gitarik. BMW versus Audi. Once again, looking for the draft is Gitarik. Lavis looking to bob, looking to weave. Looking to set up the defense as best he can. Looks to go to the outside again.
Wow.
Coming towards the chase. He was in the grass. He's managed to pull it up. That's a phenomenal job by Gitarik to prevent two cars from being embedded in the wall. But now he's once again under that rear wing. And it's going to be defend from Lavis.
Great move.
Fake.
A great
that's
move.
a stunner of a fake. Great job. Both drivers still not done. Lavis gets the drive off of Murray's, and he's back in control of this little battle for another lap.
That was an absolutely fantastic move from Gitarik to try and get around him there. He moved in. The defense came. Oh, what a terrible, terrible piece of driving there from Dwayne Voss, getting right out in front of these two. That is horrendous, and he's off the track, thankfully, without any damage to second and third place. I don't know where he was, in La La Land or something like that, dancing on the top of the Hollywood Hills, but he certainly wasn't paying any attention as he came out of pit lane there. And Lavis gets really wide, and the BMW struggling for grip out there. Gitarik, unfortunately, losing momentum as a result of that one to pull out and not run into the back of Trent Lavis there. So, unfortunately, impacting his race. Hopefully, with 2 minutes 53 to go, he can get back up on the back of that BMW, but it's going to be difficult now.
Still in the draft range, still within that 1 second margin, and he's been crawling all over the rear end of Lavis, coming into the chase the last couple of laps. Maybe this is what he needs. Maybe he needs to take a look. Is he very wide?
He was
I think he's
really
hit the
wide.
wall.
Really wide.
I don't think there was any possibility there that Gitarik did not find his car scraping off a few milligrams of paint, trying to save himself some weight coming down the mountain then. But he's fallen 2 seconds back is now the margin, and with 2 minutes on the clock, well, we might actually have 2 laps left. Oh, I'm not 100% sure.
Well, Jack Boyd's just crossed the start-finish line, so we will not get another lap, I don't think. Where is he on track? He is...
We're on that buffer. He was 201, about 201, 202, 203, somewhere in that realm
It's going to be
when
really,
they cross the start-finish line.
close. I don't think we're going to get there, but we'll see. So, yeah, that's really disappointing. What a great bit of driving from Gitarik there. That almost pass, he did a really good job setting Lavis up with the dummy and then getting that Audi out and turned in without hitting Lavis. Fantastic driving, and the crisscross as well from Lavis down through the chase to regain that position. So we saw, 2 or 3 changes there for second place. Not a milligram of paint exchanged, and some fantastic driving between Lavis and Gitarik. Fantastic for us to see.
Respectful is the word that comes to mind again when talking about that. Both drivers utilised the opportunity to display their skills. Lavis with the overtaking manoeuvre, and then the defensive movers with Gitarik still didn't let him have it. And Lavis to drive it around the outside of Murray's and keep the car. That's phenomenal driving.
Really good, and you got to remember as well, on extremely old tyres too. So just see Jack Boyd there run slightly wide, but jump on board and focus on this man right here. He has done a fantastic job for the entirety of this season, and not only is he going to take out, or has he already taken out, the Drivers' Championship, but he's also going to win the Enduro Cup here as well, with 2 second places and 2 wins in this series last week at Sebring, winning. That BMW must be bottoming out somewhere across the mountain, because that damage is back on the front of that car, and he hasn't been near anyone. I'm
actually curious if he's going to get the white flag this time by, because I'm not sure.
He will. He'll just
time
get
runs
it.
out?
Yeah, he'll just get it now, and in fact, that will be a race over.
I think he's just grabbed the white flag. Because he's still going at it.
He's still going at it. So we've got one final lap to go.
There you go. If it's close, iRacing decides you're going to get an extra lap.
Yeah, always. Because they love to see it. So Trent Lavis now 2.7 seconds clear in second spot. So he's going to take that out and secure himself a podium finish in the championship. And Dennis Gitarik is going to take out third in this race at this stage. So
I'm just double checking fuel numbers right throughout the field at the moment, but I think we're okay.
Yeah, I think everyone's fine. 21 laps was the last stop, the earliest of our drivers' stops, and it doesn't look like Lavis and Gitarik are struggling for fuel. That Audi firmly on the loud pedal on the way up the mountain. Lavis, of course, the master of fuel management throughout the series in terms of stretching things longer than they should have been stretched, particularly particularly that one race where he was doing 5 or 6 seconds a lap slower than everyone else, saving fuel. So we've seen him manage that throughout the season. But as Jack Boyd comes down into Forest Elbow for the last time, there is not many adjectives that we could use to probably encapsulate how well he has driven throughout this season. there have been challenges come and go, including Lavis, who's done a fantastic job. Luke Bergen's be good to see what he does next season. He certainly challenged for Jack for pace throughout the year, and it would also be good to see Glenn Boyd challenge Jack a little bit next season as well. He still, for mine, most improved driver throughout the season, as it will be Jack Boyd who brings us around to end the very first season of the Aus Pro-Am Sim Series, brought to you by HJ Plant Repairs, and he will adorn the number 1 on the side of that car next season, or in fact whichever car it is he takes up into next season. And congratulations to Boyd Racing for taking out the championship here and the Enduro Cup as well.
The only sad part about running baseline setups and these things is you can't turn off the traction control, which I think you'll find that Jack Boyd is currently experimenting with. What's the best way to light up the rear tyres on this thing?
So Trent Lavis bringing home second there. A great drive from him. Great battle with this man, Dennis Katarik, behind him. Hopefully we see more of Dennis in next season, because wow, what a cracking drive from him in the Audi. Just proves that that car can be strong in the right hands. And well done. We're going to have a lineup here of the final
That's what I was about to hope for. Yeah.
As they roll around the track. And to be honest, Lavis, they're not making much space for Katarik, which was pretty much the flavour of the race. So just continuing that battle along as Katarik tries to find some room to insert that Audi. You know what? No easy points now, mate. Just shove it straight up the middle there and get yourself in on the action as he goes to push Boyd around the track.
Out of fuel, so there'll be no celebrations at the jump.
Surely not.
That's a bummer.
Boyd's out of fuel.
Yeah, he is. He just come on the comms, actually.
So he got very lucky because of that extra lap.
Well, he did do some burnouts, remember, after the last corner, so...
True, he must have had
he had enough.
Left.
He would have finished it with, I'd say, somewhere between 1 and 2 litres left in the tank, though. There wasn't another lap in it.
You say pity that there'll be no jump. I mean, there's a certain amount of skill involved in Boyd being pushed down the track and over the jump.
True.
There's every chance, as we've got 3 cars here pushing, or 3 cars in this train. I think that's Sam. Is it Sam? Daniel Webster who's jumped on the back.
Yep.
So we'll just stick on board with these guys here. Let's see if they do end up pushing him down the straight fast enough to get him over the jump. As we've now got 4 cars in this chain. The celebrations at the end of the series are always the best. So we'll stick with this. Hoping maybe that you might be able to jump into the chat and just even... Oh no! It's Katarik's off! And it's all over. They're going to have to catch back up to Boyd. He's going to run out of momentum going up the hill there. So I'm wondering if maybe in the chat there might just be some suggestions of an attempt.
They said to him, "You ready to go fast, Jack, down the straight?" And about 2 seconds after they said that, Katarik was in the wall. So
there was just too much push.
Yeah. Clutch in, let him roll, boys. Let him roll. Good job.
Well, this will be special if we can see them get it done. So for those viewers watching don't know, in the gravel trap, as you head into the chase, there is a small hill just before the wall, and if you drive down and drive fast enough down the straight and hit it at the right angle, you can jump the wall and land on the other side of it in some way, shape or form. So we'll see what happens here. That Audi of Katarik's looking real second hand here. They need to get more pace than this going if they're going to do it.
And they don't want to drive down the middle of the road either, because they'll just hit the ground and it'll just be throwing them all over the place. So no, there's no way they're going to have enough pace.
Oh, they're going to try it. They've sent him off on his way. It's going to be a very tame jump. I don't think there's enough pace at all. Oh no, not at all. Not at all. It was a valiant effort, but they were never going to pull it off at 150 clicks. You need to be up towards the 300 mark to comfortably get it done. But a really good finish to the race there. So just to bring it home again, Jack Boyd, Trent Lavis, Dennis Katarik rounding out our top 3 here at Bathurst. In terms of the Enduro Cup standings, that means that we do have Boyd, Lavis and Myers, who didn't turn up tonight, actually, he will not take home third. Rick Kuznetsov potentially moving up into third there, depending on the points haul for him. The other thing to look at, of course, as well, is the overall championship standings. Bring those up on screen now. Boyd, Laves, and it will be Myers taking out third there as well, potentially. No, maybe not actually. Again, with with Kuznetsov participating in the race. So I'll have to update you on that a little bit later on as to the final three in the championship standings. But certainly no question that Boyd and Laves taking out 1 and 2 in both of those standings. And last but not least, that hard charger we spoke about, Steve Bartholomew taking that out on behalf of Peninsula Transfers. Thank you to them for their support, particularly during these hard times for a business that relies on airport transfers. Thank you for their support during the season.
I might be a little bit biased here, but I think Stephen Bartholomew's done a phenomenal job to drive that Ford GT.
I think that you might be just sort of pulling some things along there. So we'll move along with that. There's been a fair few people drive that GT. There's been 3 or 4 drivers give it a run through the series, but no, certainly has done a reasonable job there as well. Look forward to him coming back next season. And we've brought into the Combox now our podium. Boys, I'm going to say straight up, absolutely disappointed with the effort trying to get Jack over the fence there. And basically wrecked the stream for the evening. What have you got to say for yourselves?
I think there was a bit of miscommunication there. Jack could have told us he's going to go for the job. We ought to go for it together, I think.
We were expecting that. There were 4 cars in the chain, and we were expecting to see all 4 of you try and attempt to fly over the wall at the same time, as is custom at Bathurst at the end of season celebrations. But rolling it back a bit, Jack, fantastic effort. Another run where you basically, Trent gave you a good run for your money there at times, but basically had an uninterrupted run through start to finish. Congratulations on the championship and the Endurance Championship win as well. Another pole position for you too. A dominant season. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, awesome race there. Like for the first half hour, I think it was with Trent, trading lap times and stuff like that. But yeah, pretty good race. Unfortunately, I think I might have gone another lap for what I had worked out for my fuel, so I was a full lap short within the last 5 laps and had to obviously save quite a bit. So yeah, good to get it home, and yeah, really good to get the championships done.
I'll tell you what, you only had to back it off about 5 seconds and you would have had a lap, enough fuel to hit the jump, mate. So that's you crossed the line to go for the white flag. I think there was 2 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, so not a lot in it. So yeah, just lucky to get it home, to be honest.
And Trent, a fantastic battle between yourself and Dennis at the end there. The driving standard off the charts, to be brutally honest about it, particularly with the undercuts and the passing on the outsides of turns, and just fantastic racing for us to watch. Second for you in the championship, both enduro and main season, so congratulations to you as well.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It was always awesome battling Dennis. He's a gun driver, and we give a lot of respect to each other. And I think there was good 20 odd laps there where we were within a second of each other the entire time. It was absolutely epic. Putting the heat on him, and he was putting the heat on me, and we were making a little few errors here and there. And I tagged the wall a couple of times. I thought, oh, here we go. And unfortunately, at the end there, Dennis had a bit of a moment coming down the dip, and that ended him, unfortunately.
Yeah, there was a little bit of an unfortunate incident with a car exiting pit lane as well, which really affected his run up Mountain Straight. I think just avoiding running into the back of you while you were avoiding running into the back of them, which unfortunately upset the battle a little bit, but some fantastic driving from both of you. And Dennis, what are we going to do, mate? How are we going to get you out of that other area that you occupy every week and into the grid, mate? That was a fantastic run from you in the Audi from very early on.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I kind of didn't put too good of a quali lap together, but I'm sure, as you saw after the stop, I kind of didn't have any sort of pace until it was sort of Trent and I, and obviously we have a bit of a friendly rivalry going, so I thought I need to step it up a little bit, and and then yeah, it just sort of took off from there.
Scotty?
Yeah, no, yeah, it looked like it was phenomenal. I mean, you tried to sell him the dummy, and it worked, and you just weren't able to drive it under the inside. I mean, the respect level. Does it ever cross your mind when you're trying to throw moves like that you're at the end of the race, your race control, and you've got to assign yourself a penalty?
Well, I mean, yes, but at the same time, you know who you're throwing it at, and obviously I know Trent. He'll, it's always fair racing. I know he'll leave me room. I mean, I'll leave him room. It's always nice when you sort of know that you can, properly race somebody, and some moves, that might not typically be on or on, and it sort of just adds to the excitement, and yeah, it just sort of the whole respect part of it, just sort of comes into it, and that's what makes great racing at the end of the day.
It was awesome to watch, man. Absolutely awesome to watch. And tell Matty that he's got to find a new race controller for next season.
Oh, Jesus, stop it, mate. My heart. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's actually the call of the evening. We need to see you and Matty back out on track next season as competitors as well, mate. Definitely adding into the mix. And we need to see who's going to take it up. So, boys, the other thing put you on the spot. Where are your allegiances headed next year? Or next season? Where are you thinking you're going to run, Jack? Obviously retiring the BMW for the season.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, to be honest. I think if we go down the GT1 path, I'll probably go the Aston Martin. I've always loved that car. Unfortunately, doesn't really get used enough or as popular as what it should be. But yeah, definitely going to be interesting with season 2 coming along.
Trent,
Jack?
what are you thinking, mate?
Okay, yeah, let's go Trent first. Yep.
Mate, I don't even own any of those cars, so I will have to pick one and run with it.
Go to YouTube, type in GT1 iRacing, and listen for the best engine noise.
Yep, sounds good. That's a very sound approach. I like that.
Jack, will you be visiting YouTube to find out which car sounds the coolest?
Maybe. I think I'll definitely go with the Aston Martin though, just because yeah, it definitely looks good, and I think it also sounds good from memory. So yeah, probably the Aston for me.
Stuart, if you had to pick a car from the GT1s for next season, what would
Aston
you
Martin.
be driving in? Hang on. All right, give me a sec. I'll have a look now.
There's no question in my mind. The Aston Martin, the Corvette's a pig. So that's as brutal as it gets for me. But yeah, no, the Aston Martin absolutely would be where I would head. But we're going to be fortunate enough to be sitting here in the virtual dry warm commentary box while these guys head out and get underway next year. I keep saying next year, next season, a couple of weeks away. So look forward to that. And of course, Jack coming out with the big number 1 on the side of the car. Or are you going to do a Shane Van Gisbergen and stick with the 58?
Yeah, I'll definitely stick with my 58. I love that number, so yeah, I'll stick with the 58.
There you go. So you've heard it here first. No number 1 on the side of that car next season. And again, congratulations, Jack, on the championship. Trent on second place. Third still to be decided at this stage with the points there being close. So we'll bring that to you during the week as we get on with it. Jack, finally, the usual list of people for you to thank.
Yeah, just again, a big thanks to BIMstruck Drafting Services and also Crystal Clear Audio. Thanks.
Trent?
Just thanks to the boys of Skid Control, as always, for supporting us. Dennis for the epic racing, and Jack, absolutely awesome all year, mate. You're untouchable. So whatever secret sauce you've got, mate, bottle it up and send it down my way. I'll give you $1 or $2 for it, mate. And also like to thank Kester for whipping up this sick livery in one night in about half hour for us before the season fired up. So thanks to Kester as well.
Brilliant. Well, Scotty, as we usually do at this time of night, your moment of the evening, mate?
I don't even think it's close tonight. I think it's Guitaric throwing the dummy, trying to send it down the inside, and Lavas driving it around the outside and off into the distance. Followed very closely by the GT1 cars winning the pole. So, yeah, look, it's for a track that is difficult to drive, for a track that demands so much of the drivers, and to have these guys drive so closely and have so many battles in cars that are vastly different in terms of their baseline setup, stability, and where the cars are throughout the stint. I think the race was absolutely fantastic. yeah, I don't think there's much more to say. I think Guitaric's car come on well later on into the race after the stop. Stability looked good, tyre wear looked good. I think he really managed that portion of the race quite well. But no, I think, yeah, it's just been an awesome evening and an awesome season. I think I don't think it's been the Jack Boyd show, but it's also been the show of quality driving and the ability for some guys to really show their style at some tracks and others to really come on strong at other tracks. It's just been an awesome season and an absolute pleasure to be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree. I'm going to go one step further because I completely agree with you about the moment of the evening, and just say driver of the series for me is absolutely Glenn Boyd in his progress throughout the season. Obviously, Jack doing a great job to take that one out, but he's had plenty of coverage and about how successful he's been this season. But for mine, driver of the season is Glenn Boyd for sure.
Actually, on that, we do still have Jack Boyd in the com box with us. Jack, how special is it to spend one night of the year on the podium and in celebration with your father? Is that going to be a moment that's going to live in the memory for a fair while?
Yeah, that was cool for sure. I mean, we both come on every night. We've got the same paint, same team. It's really cool to race with each other, like sitting 2 meters apart. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. It's awesome what technology allows us to do now, and yeah, that was definitely a special moment for sure.
I think for me, moment of the series has to be seeing Jack and Glenn on the podium at Sebring. It's just like I said, for me who misses playing sports and enjoying those moments with my father, living a fair way away from him these days, just to see something like that was awesome. So yeah.
Brilliant, and a big hello and thank you as well to Jill Burgess, who has joined every week.
Tell you what, let's give them all a trophy this season. Jill gets a fan of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you to her for joining in every week, and to all of the fans that join in across our stream. We have appreciated it. So that wraps up the show for us and the series for us. So for a couple of weeks, your Tuesday nights are going to be basically free. Thank you for dedicating them to us over the last 10 or so weeks. And do, if you're not, follow our Facebook page so that you can keep up to date on what's going on with the Aus Pro-Am Sim Series as we get that back underway. Of course, you can jump on their Facebook page too if you wish. And we will see you in a couple of weeks. As always, there's plenty going on the channel. Tomorrow night we've got Anne's car, where we're doing some more of the Speedway stuff. So that is tomorrow night. We've got 4 guys from 5 with Reese, Stu and Chris as well. So don't miss out on that one, where once again I can get absolutely frustrated with the computer to the point that I want to throw it out the window. So if you're interested in watching a man lose his stuff on the internet, join in, because it might just well happen tomorrow night.
How many can we get together? Can we teach Stuart how to play Among Us?
Yeah, see, I've played Among Us and I'm not impressed. So we'll just move along. And beyond that, on Thursday night, we do have the AEE series coming to you live from Low Road Atlanta, where there will no doubt be a whole heap of tragedy unfold, as that track is ridiculously small to run a field of 30 or 40 cars on. So do join us if you're interested in some action on Thursday night. Scotty, as always, thank you to you for jumping on board. Thanks to the drivers who joined us in the combox. And once again, thank you to all of you who have supported our channel. We will see you tomorrow night from 5 p.m. and that is bye for now.